What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Path of podcast dedicated talking about life, Path of Exile 2, and everything in between. Tonight on episode 36, I'm joined by a fellow PoE content creator and streamer. He's none other than Scrimps. Welcome on, and how are you doing today, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I've been looking forward to this, and yeah, I'm just kind of excited to yap about some video games and some other stuff. I don't know, just chat. It's nice to chat with people, and I've been making an effort in my life to like try to just like I don't know, reach out to more like actual friends and like try to go hang out with people again. And I could get into that like a whole bunch, but like it's just been feeling good just to like I don't know, actually have like human being interactions. It feels nice. It sounds like this, very obvious basic thing, but it's really easy to forget about it sometimes.
Oh, dude, I can understand that so much right now. It's the dead of winter where I'm at up in Canada. Very, very cold. Haven't been spending a lot of time outside. Haven't seen too many friends as of late. So I really appreciated when you reached out and was like, yo, Blaze, like it'd be sick to hop back on and just like catch up. And dude, it's been like 6 months since our last episode, which is kind of crazy that time has flown by so fast.
It absolutely is just like it. I don't know where it goes. It feels like you go through a week can feel like a while, and then 6 months feels like it just happens. And like I feel like I don't even remember summer happening, but during the middle of it, like, you know, I don't know. Time's just weird like that. But yeah, the winter definitely we've got a lot of snow here too. Like I turn around and look out my window and it's like we got probably a couple feet over the course of the last like few weeks. Like some of it melted off, so it's not like there's like that much buildup of it out there, but not for me, man. Not for me. I'm good. I have a pretty big cold res penalty as I get older.
Me too, bro.
And yeah, fuck that. I don't want to go outside in that.
Yeah, no, it's something that I used to like really love about Canada when I was a kid because I used to snowboard a lot. And that like got me amped up about winter, right? Where like, you get your first snowfall and like I grew up in like a ski town. So we had like a mountain. I used to work there and get the ski pass for free every year. And so that would be like a very exciting time. But now that I don't do that anymore because I'm old and I don't want to fall and like break my wrist or something and not be able to work, classic old person shit. Like I don't really shred like I used to do back in the day. So yeah, I don't have like the winter hobby. So I've kind of replaced that with like gaming and like content creation and stuff like that. So that's kept me indoors and warm and out of the frozen wasteland, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice and like PoE's real good for that too because it allows you to put in exactly as much time as you want and really doesn't have a limit on that. It's just as much as you want to put into it. So like if you're in a situation where it's like, things like you just don't have a lot going on and like there's new PoE, like that's the best shit ever because it's like if I wasn't doing this, I might be like doom scrolling on my phone or like rewatching some TV show that is good, but like I've seen it 3 times. And, like playing a new season of PoE like gets your brain kind of moving, and it's just like it's just good. And I like that you can just sink as much time into it as you want.
Absolutely. And now that we're sort of, well, I'm at least like getting more acclimatized to sort of the content cadence, like I'm realizing that every single winter there's going to be a PoE 2 patch, like December probably at some point. And so it's just another thing to kind of like look forward to in like the months where you don't really want to be outside. So yeah, dude, I wanted to ask you. So basically over the last 6 months, we have had some sort of like interesting overlap with gaming. And I know this is something that you kind of wanted to talk about specifically. So, like, for context, the last time you were on the podcast, I had just done my first ever like playthrough of like PoE 1. I did the whole like blind playthrough, and you were kind of taking a break from PoE 2 for a while. You kind of, you missed 0.2 if I remember correctly because you weren't too excited about what was happening there, came back for 0.3, and now 0.4 has happened. So yeah, give me sort of a breakdown of like over the last 6 months, like, what PoE have you been blasting and how's it been so far?
Yeah, for sure. So 0.3 I came back. And because crafting was, I mean, frankly, it was too good, right? But like it existed, and I felt like I could make things, and that felt good. But the game felt really good for about 10 days, 11 days, and then it didn't start to feel bad. I just stopped wanting to play. I got to like level 96, I think, on like a EDC Lich. And like I had really nice gear because, homogenizing Omen existed. Um, but it just didn't feel like there was too much reason to push, and I stopped right before they made the tablet change. Like within, I think, 3 or 4 days of me, like the last time I logged in, that happened. But I was just like, I don't know, I'll come back next patch, whatever. And I came back this patch, and the temple gives you that reason to push. Like the loot's cool, right? Like I'm playing in softcore trade right now. It's cool, but like I'm not one of those people, like I'm not playing softcore trade because I like to see the money number go up. Like I just like the freedom that I have to take my builds to like insane person budget. And the fact that, like I was saying earlier, when I have a lot of time to sink into it, I like to sink a lot of that time rather than playing a bunch of different builds. Like I like to say, okay, I want to play this build in and out. And if I get an idea like, oh, I'll test this. Like I'm playing, uh, Spark, Cast and Crit Comet, Blood Mage. Like one of the most meta things in the patch right now. It's not like super creative in that sense, but like I'm like looking through Ninja and I'm finding, oh, like this person's doing this, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna try out like Ball Lightning and Lightning Warp to like get some mobility, or like, oh, I'll try something else, and like that's fun. And I just hit 99 today. I think I'll probably get this character to 100, but like the desire to grind like that's starting to taper off, and I don't know how long that 99 to 100 is, but yeah, it's been really fun, and I think like the more they put in things that make you want to push the late game, the more you'll see people like stick around. And build diversity seemed like it was up a lot this league too. Like I'm playing, something that's not that, right? But like there are a lot of other things that are really good. Like you don't have to play, Temporalis. I don't have a Temporalis, but like you don't have to play Temporalis or like Spark. Like you don't have to play any of these things because there's a whole bunch of things that are close enough to that they're still good. I mean, like and even like watching people in like hardcore, there's like the plants build, which has some crossover to softcore. Like your shield wall build looks sick. Like there's just lots of different options, and like that, the more we get, the more we can have that, and that's like the big thing we're missing from PoE 1, right? Because it's got 10 years of content, but they I feel like they've really cooked on the last two patches, and I still like PoE 1 a lot, but for the first time ever during this league for PoE 2, I found myself like looking forward to the PoE 1 league just a little bit less, because I wished that they would just work on PoE 2 more, because it's not where I want it yet. But it is pretty good and I'm enjoying it. Like I'm not hating on it by any stretch. It's just like you got to be realistic about things that you like. Like some things about them are going to suck sometimes. And there's a lot of growing pains with this for sure, but like I have this weird like I don't know that I want more PoE 1 because I just want them to make this shit good like now. It's just like little impatient little kid shit. But yeah, that's kind of where I've been at. And then in PoE 1, I made some guides for Smite Slayer, and I took it to, last time I checked, I was the deepest Delve Slayer in softcore trade by like 800 or 900 depth. It was just fun. Like Delve, the same thing, right? Like the difficulty continues to scale, and it gives you a reason to like do these ridiculous things of like, oh, let me push my build up to some damage number that 99% of players don't need. But like you want to have something in the game that makes those 1% of players who like to do that do that. And the same people that do that are people who are often going to make like quality guides, because it's just the person who put in 300 hours on one build and they tested out every single thing they saw, and they can tell you like what's good and bad about all of it. So I don't know, like I think it's good for the game if they have stuff like that, and I think this is the first time PoE 2 had it. So
Yeah,
I
it makes
rambled a lot
sense
there,
why
sorry.
you got so attached to this league, and it actually made me super happy because I know that like with 0.3, as you mentioned, you're kind of in and out in like under 2 weeks, which is like totally fair, and it didn't have the, as you said, like the very very high ceiling content for you to be able to push your build, and it's nice that we kind of have our own version of Delve in a sense. I'm sure Delve will come to PoE 2 at some point because I think it would be an excellent addition, but it is nice to have this like league mechanic that just challenges you and pushes your build to limits, and also provides you with insane rewards as well. And like if you're gonna hit 100 this league, like a lot of people are, I think the most people have hit 100 in HCSS ever this league. It's because of the tempo as well, because of how good the scaling is with like the snake and effectiveness and like the XP chain that you can make and stuff like that. So it's like the perfect time to push the limits and do it in like a way that doesn't take like an insane. It's still a long grind, but it's not like as crazy as it was in like 0.3 or 2 or 1 and stuff like that. But yeah, that's cool to hear that like you've been really enjoying the game, man. And yeah, so we have Freesia popping up. I think it was like today. Are you planning on like hopping into that at all or?
Mm, so I have decided. So one of the things about me with these games is like I don't really know how to not just like go all in and play nonstop on a fresh start. Like, and it's kind of like fatigue on too many of those in a row because it was like there's PoE 1 and PoE 1 keepers really didn't last that long because PoE 2 came out slightly early. It was like a little over a month, I think it had, like a month and maybe 10 days or something like that. Um so you have this really quick turnaround to PoE 2, and because PoE 2 was really fun, like I told myself, I was like beforehand, I was like, it was fun last time, so I'll give it a shot, and I'm sure like, if it's good, I'll keep playing, and if it's, if I get bored, I'll just go back and I'll keep delving in PoE 1 and see how far I can get down and delve. Obviously, I've been having a lot of fun, and I haven't really logged back into PoE 1 at all. Um, Sorry, I completely lost touch with like what the original thing was that I was
I'm
responding
watching
to
this
there.
man break down the psychology of like playing Freesia or not play Freesia right now, and I love
Sorry, no.
it.
The short version is I might fuck around and get the box. The short version is I might fuck around and get the box. But
Yeah,
I mean, it's cool. I'm glad people are excited about it, but like I'm still having fun on PoE 2, and like with where I'm at right now, I can go like, okay, I'll, load up like 30 crystals or something and run 5 temples, and like that's a decent session of play, and then I get off, and if I do that a bunch of times, over the course of the next few weeks, that character hits 100. Like that's I don't have to sit here and like play a ton every day. Like my gaming time of like fuck around for an hour or two, like I think that would be pretty good. So yeah, I don't know, I just it just doesn't really excite me that much either, because like the Keepers League was all right, but it wasn't great. And like the Freesia stuff's cool, but I I feel like I did a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do the last time it was here. So there's nothing that's like new where I'm like really excited to try it. I'm sure there maybe is with like the Foulborn stuff that I haven't thought of, but like I don't know, maybe I can just put that time into like making like more videos for things instead of playing all the time.
absolutely. Yeah, I think for me, and I've sort of been experiencing this as of the last few patches for PoE 2 specifically, is like private leagues are such an amazing part of like the PoE sort of ecosystem, because it provides this sort of like revitalization for people who play way too much like myself and who actually love fresh starts. And so Freesia does not interest me at all because I'm playing in Timmy's hardcore private league again for season 3, and I don't know if you've paid attention to it at all, but it's been an insane turnout, dude. Like we went from having, I think, 300 members last league to over 1,000. Like I think we're at like almost 1,100 right now, but it still has that really like intimate communal vibe with all of like the hardcore community. And dude, I'm just so in love with the league. Like it's been such a good time, like seeing everyone get in there, and all your friends are dying and their names are popping up and the O7s are happening, and like it,
All your friends are
in a
dying.
bad way. Like that sucks, but like so, not all your friends, but there's also something that is really special about the league, where it's the global chat. The global chat kind of feels like it's an old school MMO vibe. And what I mean by that is like
Hmm.
you have people like being like, want to sell X, or who's got this, and you will trade. Like I don't trade at all, right? So
You had somebody show up and give you a rite of passage. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that was awesome. I was there when it
yes.
happened. I was like, someone joked about like, because you were like already having a really good day, if I remember correctly, and someone joked about like, oh, and then you got a rite of passage, and then someone actually just showed up and was like, here you go, bud, have some monkeys.
Dude, it's crazy. And like that's the really cool thing, is like for me, I spend a lot of time, SSF for at least the first month playing on League Start. But then going into Timmy's league, I kind of initiated this whole thing within the guild with the Beach Boys to do guild self found. And, it's not like a you have to do this or else I'm kicking you from the guild sort of thing. It kind of opened it up to being like, let's all trade together, right? Let's like, just take a step back from the SSF like mindset and really just to enjoy being able to trade. And yeah, it's been cool, man. Like I haven't bought a merchant tab or anything like that, but I've just done all my trading through global chat, and it really takes me back to like old school WoW days or whatever, where you're like, "Hey guys, I have a perfect jeweler's orb. Like, first one to message me gets it." Like, just fun shit. You're not really focused on like min maxing your currency or anything. It's kind of more like everyone's just helping each other out, which has been super fun.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. I think trade in the game is really good. But like in the large softcore trade setting, like I don't remember whose video I was watching. It might have even been like it might have been a Sir Gog thing, but somebody had the quote of like I'm paraphrasing, but like trade in these games is the PvP in these games. Like getting an edge in like the player versus players, you getting an economic edge over other people. And I think that incentivizes stuff that like I don't think is fun and I think is kind of icky, but other people are allowed to like what they like. And I'm not saying you're icky for liking it, but I don't like it. But I do like to play trade, and I'm like good enough at the game and I play a ton, so I wind up making money anyway, but I'm not like sitting here doing like stuff to the effect of just making currency. I'm just like, oh, I'm just playing the game and trying to make smart choices best I can.
Yeah, no, I totally
Um,
get that. And that can lead into a whole other conversation of like RMT, people are like paying actual money to get the economic advantage over other people and stuff like that. And definitely not a supporter of that. And that's why like the private league stuff is cool, is because it's such a small community of people that no one's doing that because you can't RMT on a private league. Like, no, there's no bots, there's no like people farming crazy currency and shit like that. So it feels very like pure. It feels very like pure trade experience, and it's just been refreshing for me, especially as someone who like I hadn't traded since I did my one and only trade last league, which was I traded a fracturing orb for constricting command. This is the only trade I did in 0.3 in Timmy's league last year. And I remember just like everyone losing their mind, be like, Blaze is a trade Andy. He's a tourist. He got a constricting
oh
command. Like,
no.
and I was like, all right, caught, whatever. But it was fun. And it's fun to be able to just explore build possibilities without like grinding for it, I guess. So I can definitely see the allure of trade for sure. It's a good time.
I gotta be honest. You've kind of really sold me on trying out THC next time, and I also like I kind of want to share a thing because I played in Second Wind, right? And I know that you wanted to talk about like the Second Wind and THC thing. So like Second Wind was weird, and they did a great job like organizing it. So like this is not a knock on the event in any way, shape, or form, but because of the way people are in trade, so there was this thing that wound up happening where people realized that they could buy high value like crafting currencies and stuff like that, like stuff that doesn't drop in the temple, and then just migrate their character. So they would just buy out the market and migrate their character. And the league wound up at like trade prices within 3 days. It was completely insane. There was maybe it was like 4 days, but what like I remember very specifically, I went to bed one night and at Ziri's Acuity was 8 div for like an okay pair of them. And I woke up the next morning and it was 1 div for a really, really good pair of them. Like, so everything, and then like you go and look at the omens and it's like now a whittling that was 4 div yesterday is 24 div today. Um, it was literally just like everything got cleaned out and shifted over. And it was like the event started off like so cool and so good, and everyone was really excited. They're like, "Oh, I get a fresh start." But like people didn't really want a fresh start. They just wanted to be the ones who got to exploit instead of hearing about other people doing it. So
Yeah. I mean, that's the crazy thing about Second Wind was that yes, it was a private league, but it would be a completely different experience from THC because that private league, correct me if I'm wrong, had like tens of thousands of players. Like it was essentially like its own league basically at this point. Like I
Mhm.
think GGG even sponsored some slots or whatever because it was popping off so hard. So I think that like I'm not surprised when I hear that like the economic side of things just got like elevated so quickly because there was just so many people playing that I feel like it kind of takes away from the magic of what a private league's supposed to feel like, which is like a lot more of like an intimate experience with people that you kind of like know or know about. And so, dude, if I can like help convince you to try this out, because I know you haven't played hardcore in PoE 2 yet, if I'm not mistaken, dude, that'd be
No, not
amazing.
yet.
Yeah.
I
Oh.
I have yet to die in hardcore in either game, but that's because I haven't played hardcore in PoE 2. But I did kill all Ubers on my only hardcore character in Settlers. So like I can play that way. I think it's actually I like it more. It's just like a lot more intense moment to moment. And so like you have to really be like geared up for that. And it's a lot easier on, especially on stream to just like kind of chill and vibe and play some music and blast some maps. But I like hardcore a lot. It's really fun, and I think that the highs from hardcore are just like unmatched. Like it, there's no experience I could possibly have in softcore trade that is as fun as like the most fun things in hardcore. But it's just a lot more work too. So I do think I'm really interested in like trying to get better enough to where I'd play in the private league and wouldn't be like, here's this softcore tourist fucking dying to Viper 3 times in a row. Like,
No, it's okay. The cool thing about hardcore is that like, yes, there is. I can't deny that there is some sort of like elitism like attitude that happens where like people think like, and I'm trying my best to not be like that. I feel like maybe I come across like that sometimes, but it's always a meme, guys. It's always a meme. But I think what's cool about hardcore is that like everyone's really just like supportive of you like getting further in the game. Like everyone wants to help, the same way that we all do in PoE, just like give you knowledge, give you tips, try to help you, be aware of the dangers and stuff like that. And so it actually is like a super supportive thing. It kind of reminds me like of when I used to rock climb a lot. And
hmm.
I used to go to like a rock climbing gym for like my it was like my form of exercise for a long time. And there would be like complete strangers as you're like climbing the wall and doing a problem. I'd be like, "Yeah, you got this. Like, come on, man, one more move, one more move." And if you went to like a gym and you were like, doing your bicep curls or your like whatever shit, you wouldn't just have like random strangers just come up to you and be like, "Yeah, like, come on, man, one more rep." You know what I mean? But like to me, that's how hardcore feels like. People are just like really supportive. It's cool.
Yeah, and I have I've seen you like break down people's rib clips. I've seen like I know if I'm not mistaken, Dead Rabbit is new to hardcore, and I've seen like everybody being like, "Yo, you got it! Like, go get there." Ooh, excuse me. Um, it's been so yeah. No, I see that. It's cool. I'm like interested in it. I just need to actually just like do it. You just got to jump in one day. It's not like you can't do like the mid-temperature pool you stick your toe in because you'll just never get in the pool then. You're like, "Oh, that's cold. Screw that. I'm not going in." Just jump in. It'll feel good in a couple minutes.
I feel like you're gonna love it, bro. Especially if you did all Ubers and obviously in PoE 1, that's like quite a bit of time, and you were probably enjoying yourself. I would imagine you wouldn't go that far if you weren't having fun doing it. And so, and even Rabbit, as you mentioned, like I think he's tried hardcore in previous patches, but even on his like most recent podcast episode, he was saying that like this has been the most fun that he's had playing the game like in a long time, like in the last while. And so I think that the you'll find that experience as well, hopefully.
Yeah, I know I'm going to at some point. It's just a matter of when it happens. So
Definitely. So you kind of talked about like the general vibe of how you've been feeling about PoE 2. Like, playing a lot this like I think if I'm not mistaken, you have like two level 99 characters, which is like a
mhm.
significant amount of time. Like, you've been grinding, you've been blasting and stuff like that. Like, aside from the temple, was there anything else that like you've just been like enjoying? Like, I know you played like Talisman. Did you like really like vibe with the Talisman and stuff like that? What are things that you've been
So
enjoying?
the first build that I played just like a wolf build, but I didn't look anything up. I played it on Invoker because I was my thought process behind it was like Invoker Ice Strike was good. The Wolf stuff looks like very similar. A lot of those same nodes are going to be good for the Wolf stuff. So like, let's give it a shot. And it was really good. Like I was very very comfortably clearing like a full temple. It wasn't the ideal like selection of rooms, but it was, you know, the full temple. Like, so it was strong. It just like what wound up happening was when we moved into Second Wind, I did group found with a couple friends. Not like group found, but like we basically made like a little guild and we were just sharing stuff. And like the idea was I was going to play Spark and our friend Amber was going to play a rarity bot and we were going to try to get the temple online really quick. And we wound up kind of falling off of that happening. Like Amber wound up making a like a Sekima runner and then just it was kind of insane. So Amber was like getting these like 600 plus div jewels, just like multiple of them. Like I would log in the next morning, there's 700 div in the guild stash. I'm like, what is going on? And then Amber wound up buying every one of the Against the Darkness relics on the Second Wind market and just leaving. Like it was, I was like, man, we became the problem. Like,
Right. Yeah, you were like,
oh
these
my god.
people have been doing this, and it was
Yeah.
actually you guys.
I look, to be fair, I was not consulted. I just reaped the benefits. So I might actually be even worse. No, I'm talking smack. But like, yeah, I don't know. It was the wolf build was really fun though. And it's like I really like that PoE 2 feels like more intuitive in the sense that like you can't just make anything work yet. Like the game's not that balanced. But like if you're like thoughtful, you can make some like slightly out of box things work. And I think what people I've seen a lot of people talk about like the builds feeling on rails in a lot of cases, and like I can definitely relate to that. Like I think that's a fair criticism, but at the same time, like there's a lot of room for taking one of those on rail things and then doing it on a very weird different class or ascendancy or finding some niche item that's different. Like you know most of the Spark Blood Mages look the same, but if you look around Ninja, you can occasionally find some interesting things. Like I found somebody who had like a Duelist wand with a Dreamer Scepter, and they had enough extra spirit to run, you know, like Blink on top of, you know, their cast on crit setup and all this stuff. And I was like, they trade some single target damage, but I was like, oh, that's cool. There's not many people doing that, and like even in the meta builds, you can find stuff like that. So I don't know, like I playing Wolf and just doing my own thing on a different ascendancy was like it was fun. It felt really good, and I definitely look forward to doing stuff like that again. Just like, oh, I think this idea could work. Let's try it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, as you mentioned earlier in the chat, like, dude, it's hard for me to feel like I'm gonna be able to do all the builds I want to do this league. Like, and I've never felt that way about the game thus far. Like, I think in 0.3 definitely had like an improvement over obviously like the lightning sphere meta in 0.2. But yeah, man, like it actually just feels like there's a lot to do in the game. And building up these new different builds that are completely separate play styles from one another, like the talisman stuff versus like what you're playing now, are like completely like, you know, night and day different builds from each other. And I feel like right now for me, like I even tried minions, dude. Like my chat got me to try minions for the first time ever.
Wait, I don't. You said we were talking about that earlier. The shaman
Yeah.
build.
And so
Can you tell me more about that?
sure. So I haven't even fully completed the build. So there's I hate to bring this up, but I have to. So I've been labeled as a grenade, you know, for lack of a better word, a grenade enjoyer. Been playing grenade for
No way.
for over probably
No.
200 plus hours this league because I played up to 99 on the tactician, right? And so, you know, chat and everybody else who sees me playing are like, "Oh, great, Blaze is playing nades again." Big surprise, but anyway, so I said, guys, we're not going to play grenades. We're going to do a new play style I've never done before. We're going to play minions. And so who do I go to? I go to Ghazi. I go to his YouTube, and I find this cocaine wasp shaman rage like stacking minion build, which looks really cool. Little did I know, Scrams, that a big part of the leveling journey and the endgame journey on the minion build was using the Val guards from Utsal, who throw oil grenades and like explosive grenades. And so it literally just ended up turning into shaman minions with minions who throw grenades and blow up screens. And I'm not gonna lie, dude, it was a really good time. I liked it. Cancer on the eyes, but it was a good time. Haven't gotten to the cocaine wasp phase yet, though.
Maybe we just take grenades the whole way.
Yeah, we might. Basically.
What if you put like a crossbow weapon swap on there?
I mean, and we just get rid of the specters. It could work. It could work. Yeah, but, like, that's the thing, dude, like and I opened my mind up to that, and now I'm thinking, like, "Oh, like, what other specters are out there?" Like, there has to be other amazing specters that we can use to, like, make cool minion builds, and so I've never felt like this inspired to kinda start experimenting with stuff, like, even trying the shield wall and the witch hunter, like, I've never seen anyone really do that aside from my friend, Zreddy, who showed me it in Zero or, on main league, this league, and I was like, "Whoa," like, I heard that Sorcery Ward was good, but I didn't realize that, like, it was amazing, and dude, I can't, like, say enough good things about Sorcery Ward. Like, it sucks because it's so good in comparison to, like, life just feels bad right now, and, that's a whole discussion, but the ability to have an insane, like, I guess it's technically a hit pool with your Sorcery Ward because of that ability, because of the Witch Hunter, it just changes things for melee builds, so I'm excited to even try different melee builds with, Sorcery Ward, perhaps.
I feel like Wolf could probably work pretty well there. Uh, you're still in like a decent position to get to a lot of cool stuff, and yeah, I don't know. Witch Hunter seems amazing though. I watched Arrow play just like the permafrost bolts, even just like normal crossbow, like pretty standard Witch Hunter stuff, and like it looked sick. Like he was you don't expect when you see like that little life pool and like maybe they have a little bit of yes, but you don't expect them to have like no, they probably don't have yes if you're going sorcery word. You're just going like
Evasion and
life plus
armor,
sorcery
yeah.
word. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You probably do you like going like full evasion with deflection rating then too, or like are there certain pieces where you kind of choose whether to do that or not? Kind of slipped there for a sec.
Oh, that's a great question. So this is something that actually a lot of people were asking me when I was playing it the first time. They're like, "Why aren't you going evasion?" Because the way that Sorcery Ward works is that it essentially has a reset period of 6 seconds that is basically stopped anytime you take damage. So with evasion, it's great because the more evasion you have, the more Sorcery Ward you have, and the less you're getting hit. So the higher chances of recovering the Sorcery Ward, right? I went the full armor route with a shield, and the way that I sort of solved the recovery time issue was using active block. And so I used the ability Resonating Shield, which was actually to my demise last night. I died off stream.
Oh, that's what happened.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I got greedy with it. But essentially, when you're using Resonating Shield, you're using active block, so you're taking no damage. So it fundamentally acts the same as evasion, allowing you to kind of recover that sorcery ward. And so, dude, the build felt amazing with that ability, and that kind of, yeah, just like opened my mind up. I'm excited to try the evasion and deflection side as well because I'm sure it's really good.
Yeah, deflection. I think it was a very good addition. Like I didn't play. I don't think when it actually got introduced. That was 02, right? Or was that 03?
Oh, that's a good question.
Um,
I think it might have been 03 if I'm not mistaken. But yeah.
um, I feel like so I said something about this like during your stream earlier, but I think one of the big problems right now is that like the ability to scale defenses is just so far behind the ability to scale your offense in the game. And I feel like deflection's like a good step towards that. Like it's something that like because evasion's problem has historically been, yeah, that's great. You have 90% evasion, but like the one time the hit does get through, you just get one piece. And like in PoE one, it's people are fine with that in softcore trade because you just six portal defense. But in PoE two, you get so many rewards for upping the risk. And honestly, I think it's really fun. I know a lot of other people aren't necessarily a fan of that, but I think it's fun even in softcore that like I have to think about the risk I'm taking. I can't just like just jam maps in that are way too difficult for my character repeatedly. Like I have to, actually try to improve my character and play the game. It's fun. Um yeah, I don't know. But
Yeah, no, I like deflect. I think that the problem, and this is an age-old thing. I feel like we talk about this all the time because there's a lot of imbalance in terms of defenses right now with like the whole energy shield versus lifelink conversation. Like, what are your thoughts about that? Especially as a PoE one player, like as someone who has very little experience with PoE one, I found it very fun to increase my life on the passive tree. Like, what are your thoughts about it all?
I because of the fact that like the game's been growing a bunch, right? A lot of the things that I have thought were mistakes, I have like come around or at least like moved my position more towards where their position already is. This one hasn't changed. I still stand by the fact that I think life not being on the tree is probably one of the most bonehead mistakes that they have made throughout the entirety of PoE 2 existing so far. Like it just makes absolutely no sense to me. And like I'm not a game designer, right? But I don't think you have to be to like identify and like this isn't one of those things where it's like, oh, it's easy to see a problem, but it's hard to figure out a solution. Just can we just have life on the tree, please? Like
Dude, it's been this way for a year now. And so this is obviously very intentional game design. This isn't something that they did at the beginning and then decided, "Oh, whoops, we forgot or we were going to do this and now we have." It's a very intentional decision to not do that. Um and I feel like there has to be some like documented like conversations that have happened about this because it is a very like contentious issue with a lot of players, especially someone who comes from like a hardcore background. Like we're always thinking about how do we survive. And Major Aimless said something that resonated with me so hard yesterday on the Path to Exile podcast. He was saying that why is it? And I'm not saying that games have to make sense. A lot of things in video games don't make any sense, and they're great, and we're having fun. But he was saying, why do warriors who are supposed to be like, I'm the big guy with the shield, and I'm tanky, and I have armor, and like all of these things, feel like paper versus, or I think Rabbit might have said this actually, versus the sorceress with the energy shield casting spells and like they have 20,000 energy shield and they're built like a truck. Like it just seems a little like like a, not intended or I don't know, weird, I guess, right? And yeah, so hopefully warriors can feel a little bit more tanky in the future.
one of the issues I think you have there too is that because life can only scale off of items, but you also have to scale your core defenses, armor, evasion, energy shield, whatever. You have to scale those off of prefixes that are competing with life. And so you're either saying, okay, I'm getting less evasion, which means I'm getting hit more, which means I have less deflection, which means I'm taking more damage just to get that one life prefix. And at that point, it's, I think like they don't have to necessarily put life back on the tree in just like, oh, here's the static amount of life. But like, imagine like you have a notable that says like you gain X% life per life affix on gear that you have equipped.
Yeah, that'd be a
Like,
game
and
changer.
then you're making it so, okay, I am still rewarding players for investing more into the gear side, but now I'm giving the people who are doing that a way to scale even further. And like, you're giving people, because you have to give people more incentives to want to put life on their gear. Like, I mean, even playing a character with life, a lot of times you don't actually want life on most of your pieces. Like you might get life on your rings if you're not using all three prefixes for attack, flat attack modifiers. You might get life on like your glove or boots, but definitely not if you're energy shield, and probably not if you're evasion energy shield, because you still want to scale the energy shield as much as possible. And if you're using uniques, those often don't have life rolls on. So like, what are you supposed to do? Like by making it so that life can only exist on gear, and in the most cases only exist on rare gear, you're heavily constraining life builds. Whereas like energy shield players, like I didn't, I don't remember where. I guess. Oh, I looked at it just in my character sheet in game. I was trying to remember where I looked at it. I have like 64, almost 6,500 energy shield on my character, and I looked at. I only have 1307 base energy shield. That's insane.
Yeah, that is another issue, right? It's like we're missing nodes that scale life too. Like not just getting like, flat life or a percentage life or whatever, but like it's crazy that like patient barrier exists or ancient aegis where it's like I'm gonna click one button and that's 60% more energy shield. Like that is just the easiest click of your life. Why would you never do that? It's the same thing with like there's so many things like that. Like, the desecration prefix on an amulet that gives you like 50% more energy shield on your body armor. It's like, Why couldn't there be one that's like 50% more life on your body armor or exactly, right? And so again, like kind of circling back, we find ourselves sort of experiencing because this is a very like a deliberate choice that they've made. I just want to understand why. I don't understand why. And yeah, maybe there is no rhyme or reason to it, or maybe we just aren't aware of the puzzle pieces of that are coming for the defensive puzzle because after playing PoE1 for a little bit in 3.27, like I was very familiarized with like the various layers of defense that we have in PoE1, and it's so much more comprehensive. Like there are so many more layers. I love looking at like defenses as like an onion, I guess, or something like that, where you're like building these things down, and the end goal is like getting spell suppression and like fortify and like all and like endurance charges and all this shit. And so maybe that's what's coming in the game, and we just don't know yet, and that's gonna solve this somehow. I'm not sure.
I The thing is, like, yeah, I hope so for sure, some stuff like that. But even then, I still feel like at some point you're gonna have to find some way to scale life. And I really like what you were saying about like you could there, because there's nodes on the tree. I don't remember which this node is called, but over on like the left side of the tree, for example, there's like 60% increased armor and energy shield from your body armor.
Mhm.
Like, why can't you have, a node here on the tree that says like, 50% increased life from your rings and belt? Like stuff like that. Like put in more of those, just a bunch of those. And like you've got a bunch of room to create a bunch of different styles of that node because you have those things for armor, energy, shield, and evasion. But armor and evasion, like by themselves, inherently need life to be able to scale at least a little bit, especially armor. Like because of the way that armor works with like diminishing returns, right? Like you can't just be like, my character has 2,000 life and 60,000 armor. Like it's it's not gonna work.
You're
It's not
still
gonna feel
gonna
that good.
die. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's funny. Like I do a lot of time digging through the old archives on PoE2 Ninja, and you look at any really powerful Titan build, Warbringer, Smith of Katava, and they do have like 40 to 50k effective HP because of all the defensive layer stuff going on. But their max fizz hit is only like 6k, dude. It's crazy. And yeah, I kind of just it is a thing. There's a lot of solutions, and I don't think that we've considered you know, even having it scale as a global defense, like there's various ways to scale global defenses within the game. There's a perfect essence for your amulet. There's like investment through the campaign, etc. And even I think like you know, there doesn't need to be an overwhelming amount of investment in life to make life feel like viable compared to energy shield and whatnot. It's just like how do we get it to the point where we're getting, even on my witch hunter build, like if I had like 3 to 4k, it might have made the difference between getting clapped. And so, yeah, I think we're close. We're very close. It's just like those incremental changes that need to happen. I think we'll solve this puzzle that we find ourselves in.
For sure. And I just wanted to like recognize in chat the like I 100% agree with what Everseen just said. Like I think you want to tie it in with like the strength section of the tree because those are the characters who need it the most and
100%.
they're the ones who should be able to access it. And then you do actually create a situation where the energy shield character is in some ways like more frail. Like you can't get a lot of life on your energy shield characters. And probably you want to find something that life characters can do that feels as good as CI. I'm not saying to just remake CI, but like CI is this like vital part of so many energy shield builds, right? Like you getting complete chaos immunity in a game where a lot of things that kill you are big old purple explosions.
Yeah.
Like
Dude,
not
imagine this. Imagine you have 0 armor, all armor value is converted to life. People are running around with like 30,000 health, but you have no armor for I don't know. Something ridiculous. And then
oh my god.
you put on that amulet that gives you like 20% more life and people are running around with like 100,000 life or something. Like that'd be pretty funny. Oh man, what would that be? What would like the CI equivalent of like a life, like an armor, like even look like? I'm curious, like, because that's so true. not only does that side of the tree, like the monk witch, corner, the northeast corner, get all of the best defensive investment nodes. Like, we talked about ancient aegis, or no, sorry, that's on the other side. We talked about patient barrier, the 60%. They also get CI, which is like, now you don't get affected by bleed, poison, or any chaos damage, which is just like, yeah, further, I think, creating the divide between, making life builds feel good and having, even if I'm playing my tactician like I did in the beginning of the patch, it's like I moved up into that neck of the woods as soon as I could afford a house up there. You know what I mean? Like that's the place you want to live. That's the rich neighborhood for sure.
Property values are up.
Yeah, 100%.
Can't get an apartment around CI anymore. It's tough.
No, dude. Yeah, everyone's posting up out there. That's like New Hollywood, basically. All the celebrities live out there. I saw Brad Pitt just got a house up there. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Makes sense though. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, so
uh,
wanted to ask you just a bit like content creation and stuff. So now that I'm genuinely curious about this. So now that you've been playing a lot of like PoE 2, do you plan on like making any more like videos about like that game, or do you only plan on sticking with like doing PoE 1 content for the time being?
so with I want to avoid going too off topic on my tangent here.
Sure.
I've just had a lot going on in like my personal life, and I like content creation, but I don't think it feels fulfilling enough that I can pour in the amount of effort that's needed to be good at it full time. But I do like doing it, and I like playing PoE 2, and I feel like I would like to get to a point where maybe I'm doing something else creatively as like a pursuit of like a actually doing that with my life, and then I still just make videos when I do play because I like playing, and I've gotten a lot of really good feedback on the guides that I have made. The problem is just simply I just don't make enough stuff. Like because I put a ton of effort into the guides. Like I have these huge note sections in my POVs for PoE 1, and like PoE 2 doesn't need that so much, but something then that I think that PoE 2 can have is like when you present people a guide, give them, a bunch of different little variations of things and explain to them exactly why you would want to do this. Like, oh, you can tech in running this unique ring or something like that if you want to do this specific thing. Like, I think like there's a lot of room for stuff like that. And like I like making videos a lot. Like making videos is really fun. I've made it a point to every time I make something, try to incorporate a new editing technique. Every single time I make a video, I'm like, okay, I want to learn how to do something new. So I try to like think about what's something I haven't done yet. And then I also started trying to do this thing where I wanted to do these like kind of cold open style, like funny intros that just directly cut straight to me actually talking about the video stuff. And so it became really fun to like, what I would do is like, I'll take like a very short, like 3 to 5 second clip of gameplay, and then I'll think of something funny from like popular media that it reminds me of that. Like, my Smite video, for example, like I like one pieced Cyrus, and then it cuts to the scene from Home Alone of him like grabbing onto the generator and being like, and I was just like, it's stupid, but it was fun. And then like I was like, for that, I was like, okay, I want to find out how can I add like a still image and like sort of animate that over top of something. And like that was fun. Like I spend like an hour going looking through some tutorials and like messing around with it and like trying to get better at it. And like I'm not amazing at it. It wasn't the best the first time, but like I learned how to do it, and the next time I do it, I'll be better at it. And the same with like the graphic design stuff. I started making my own thumbnails. I like doing this stuff. I really do. And like I do like PoE a lot, but like especially with like the release cycle, the way it's been, it's too much. Like I don't have time to tend to the other things that I want to in my life and play PoE 1 and play PoE 2 the way that I know that I love to and the way that I know that I have to make the kind of content that I want to make. Like I can't make content that I feel good about if I'm not putting 100, 200 hours into testing everything about it. Um, and I haven't really figured out how to make more of like the fluffy entertainment side of content yet. I know how to like add that into my more like kind of like substantial content, but I just don't like I see like the video you made with like the gambling thing, which by the way I want to talk to you about that like a side thing later.
Yes, let's talk about the
That
Gamba.
was a good video, but like that was a great video, but like
Thank you.
I just don't. or like the monkey form, like that shit had me rolling. It was so funny. And like I just don't think of those ideas. I like to inject that into things, but I don't know. I think that's it's like special to be able to come up with those things outside of the box. It's easy to be able to like think, okay, make a guide. It's not necessarily easy to make a good guide, but like anybody can play a thing and then tell you how they played it. Like whether they convey that information well is a totally different thing, whether that information is reliable is a totally different thing, all that stuff. But like I think it like to create something that's like more entertainment and like not just about the game but like adds to the game, like the same thing with like people who do lore videos. Like I love a good lore video for anything. Like I've watched like a bunch of kit and cat noodle stuff for PoE, right? But I've also I found some channels for like Hollow Knight and other things that I really like, where I'll instead of doom scrolling through social media and feeling bad, I'll go put on one of these videos and just listen to somebody yap about this thing I love. And
Absolutely.
like that's cool too, but like I think that's like you know you have to have like a really good idea for that, and then you have to like believe in your idea, and then you have to put a ton of effort into making it really good. So I just haven't figured out how to do that yet, I don't think, but I definitely have a lot of respect for anybody who's making like content that's more than just like here's how to do a thing. I'm not knocking here's how to do a thing like by any stretch, because that content's good too, right? But like I think that content that isn't that and isn't like reaction content feels like the most authentic, like adding to the space content for me. I don't know. That was a
Dude,
lot of
it's
yapping.
hard, man, and I talk about that. I talk about this with a lot of the homies that are also like content creators, like yourself, and a lot of my friends. And I think for me, like these ideas that I have just come out of nowhere, bro. But they are centered around experiences that I'm having within the game. Like, for instance, the monkey video, which was like my most disliked video because I think a lot of people got baited into thinking that was a real build guide. I'm sorry if you watched that and you actually thought that was real. Um, but yeah, dude, like that day, what happened? I think like 3 people died to monkey. It was like Ben, Major Aimless, and somebody else. And it was like, this guy's cleaning house. And I just thought to myself, like, I think I might have thought like, man, this guy's like the best build in the game right now, or something like that. And I was like, also, it's kind of just satire about build guides, right? Like everyone's got a build guide. We've all made them, and they are a lot of work, as you said, dude. Like to make a good build guide, like I didn't feel comfortable about making a build guide until 0.2. And even then I was like, this is like scary because people might pick it apart, people might find flaws, people might whatever. Like you have to really know your shit, right? When it comes to build guides. And I know that you're like super thorough with like the build content that you do, like, you know, because you've spoken about how influential like good build guide content was for you when you started. Like when you started playing the game, you found, I forget who you mentioned, but how
Jack
good.
Central.
Yes. And so you were like, yo, this guy's it was so comprehensive, so good, and it kind of inspired you to want to like achieve that same like level of guide or whatever. But I don't know, dude. For me, these ideas just come at very specific times, and it's hard to like brainstorm them. It kind of for me, it's been like a spur of the moment thing. I don't know. Do you ever have like these like spur of the moment? It starts with just a man. Wouldn't it be funny if this was a thing? Or like, oh my god, this is such a stupid idea. I need to do this. Like, do you ever have those ideas?
Uh, I mean, like, yeah, for sure. I have a clip of my dog, and we had like taken her to the pet store, and we were trying some like boot things on her, right?
Okay.
And she doesn't like them, and she does like this real clompy walk in them. She's a little dachshund, right?
Yeah.
So I got this little short video, and I just started laughing because in my head I heard "Shorty had them apple bottom jeans," and so I timed it up where the beat like exactly dropped the second she jumped into the step, and
Yes,
it's
dude.
just like 6 seconds of that. You don't see too much. Like it doesn't go too far into the song. I let it play until Boots with the fur because that was why I thought of it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then I cut it off. But like stuff like that. But I like I haven't really shared a lot of that stuff. But that's like the kind of stuff that I trying to do with my intros to like my my PoE content was just like I just want to do a little bit of that because it's fun and I do think of stuff like that. And I do stuff like that with music a lot too. So like I have like a pretty big background with making music. I'm kind of starting to be interested in that again too. Which is kind of
Nice.
another reason that I want to like not I'm definitely it's like I'm not like oh my god I'm not making content for PoE. I like making PoE content. I'm gonna do it when I feel like doing it, but I just don't want to feel like I have to do it. And like you definitely have to do that. Like if you want, like I've watched. I mean, I remember I was watching the Gazzy podcast here, and like he was, you asked him what should new content creators do. It. He said the same thing that I've heard a whole bunch of other people say, which is stream less, make more videos. Like, and like I've heard other people like all of the really good content creators, from what I can tell, the one thing they share in common is that they treat it like a business and they're good at that part of it. Like anybody who's like making a living off of this, we're not talking about, like Rax, Zizzer, and people who are making like lots of money off of it, but anybody who's like making enough to pay their bills because they play video games and they either are very good at them or people like them. Like they all treat it like that. They're online at the same times and like they're regularly releasing content and they're like thinking about how to like grow the brand. And like that's I don't know. It's like it's hard for me to pour that into this and I'm starting to realize maybe I just like this and I want to pour that into some other stuff. But like I have that idea with music a lot too. Like I'll just like hum something out and like maybe you don't have like lyrics to it, right? But like you hear a melody and I used to like just like shut myself down on that stuff, but like I've kind of let go of like whatever, past trauma I had that caused that. And now it's like I'll just hum something out and like a lot of times it just turns into me singing some stupid song to my dog. Or like, maybe you like make up really dumb lyrics to a song that already exists about again your dog. Just like stupid stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, for sure. But man, like having those ideas and having ones that are good enough to share are two totally different things. And like,
100%. I mean, yes and no, I guess, because I mean, here's the thing. I think that like as a person who is a content creator at this point and who, tries to obviously like grow in some capacity, like there is that like pressure, I guess. Like you hear a lot of people be like, you have to do X, Y, and Z, be on a schedule and frequently upload and stuff like that. And I think that there's a lot of like a negative impact on people and they feel like they're forced to do it. Like I feel like you feel like you're failing, I guess. Like what like my friend Y Doc said, like he felt like oh, I'm not like actively working on a video right now or I don't have a good idea. I'm like failing, basically. It's kind
mhm,
of how he put it. Which sucks to feel like that because the whole point of like doing all this shit is for fun, bro. Like I love the seeing your face light up, just being like, yeah, like saw my dog doing this thing and I thought, oh, yo, that'd be so funny if like it was cut to the beat of this song and shit. And like, so I'm just trying to think like, how do we bring that into the game somehow? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I've tried to do in a few different formats. And like for me, because I'm still pretty new to this, like I just had my 1 year on YouTube anniversary a couple days ago. Um, I call it fishing, where it's just like I just put on a different lure and I just throw it out there and see what happens. You know what I mean? And like, I don't think there's any like shame in just like experimenting with shit either. Like, like even if you think that the audience that you've cultivated is built around like guide format content, like people are still going to watch something if you make like a funny video or like an essay or whatever. Like, I don't think that there's any sort of like barrier for that. And you might discover along the way, like, shit, I actually really like this. Like I'm gonna do more of this. And it might pop off too. So you just never really know.
yeah, you definitely you gotta try new things. Like, and that's something I'm working on more too. Just being like, I'm gonna go out and do more things and try more things, and also with like like what kind of content to make, like because like I said, I mean like it doesn't feel like work when I'm like making the video. The only part that feels like work is like figuring out what to make. Like once I
Okay.
actually sit down, it's just like I love it. I'm having a
Yeah.
blast. I'm learning how to do a new thing. Like and that's super cool. Um I was thinking about this and I wonder like cuz you also do like art as your, full-time like career thing, right? And I think as in like any sort of creative endeavor, like you have to learn this lesson of like when you're supposed to go against the grain and when it's to your detriment to like go against the grain, because you as the artist ultimately know the best way to make your art. And but like sometimes like you do have to, if you're doing it as a career, you have to think about it in that lens as well, because it's, that's how you put food on the table, that's how you pay for the place that you live. And I think that that's a really hard thing to do. But like if you're living like a good quality life doing that in one way, do you feel like it makes it easier for you to deal with some of that pressure stuff when you come over to streaming because you've already kind of had some exposure to it through like your mural work?
That's a great question. So, why I really have been drawn to the streaming content creation stuff, it's because it's very like entrepreneurial. So, it's like what you said, like people who do this full time, like treat it like a job. And I've had to kind of hone in that on my business side of things with the art stuff. Like I am like a self proprietor, like I'm the one man show that runs the whole thing. And so it is like a lot of work on that end. And so I think that like I have been conditioned by doing this for X amount of years to just have that like intrinsic kind of like work ethic where like if I'm going to do something, I kind of go about it the same way I've gone about like my business basically. And so I think no, that I think you're absolutely right. I think that like that aspect of however that functions definitely got brought over more to like the video game stuff. And I just love it because it is very rewarding. It's very tangible. It's very you get what you put out or you get what you put in, right? Like you and, if you put in a lot more work, like you definitely can see the benefits of it. Sometimes, sometimes you don't, but yeah, sometimes you do. But yeah, absolutely, for sure.
One of the things that I like too about, the streaming side of content creation is that like really what you're doing is just like creating a space. Like you are like it's like you're almost opening like a virtual bar, right? And like, if you act in a way that's like true to yourself and you attract the people that like that, you create a space that feels like very welcoming and good. And even if it's not a ton of people, but like sometimes then like, you know, like when you get like a big raid in, for example, like your community is interacting with those people, and so any of the people from that group that like fit in, it's just cool to see like that you're like bringing people together and people are just chatting. And like the thing you were saying earlier about like, THC, like that like community vibe, because like once you have too many people, like it doesn't feel like that as much. So
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't know. I think
know.
that's really
I
cool.
haven't I haven't gotten to that point yet where and I don't ever want that to be lost because I know exactly what you mean, dude. Like I find myself as a viewer and as a streamer, like really, gravitating to those channels or those places where it does feel like a community and like there is like a interaction, stuff like that. And so like I cherish that. And I know that like that's what I enjoy when I'm using the platform. And I think that's like a super important thing to like always, keep in mind for anybody who's wanting to stream or to do content, stuff like that is like, what do you like? Like, what do you watch? Who do you watch? What are they doing that works well for you? And like, think about it in terms of like, well, what, if I know what I like, then I wanted to like produce that basically. So I think I've gone into, the video creation aspect and the streaming aspect with that in mind too, like kind of creating those spaces, as you said, that are places that like I'd want to chill in. Like I wouldn't want to create a place that I wouldn't want to be in. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
it
yeah.
seems weird to say, but yeah, 100%.
I mean, I think like anyone who spends a decent amount of time on Twitch has been into a channel where maybe they liked the streamer, but the vibe of the chat was just off. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna name anybody because I'm not here to try to like take shots at people, but like everyone can think of someone if you're on Twitch that has given you that experience before. And it's like it's no knock on the streamer, but like I don't know, man, your chat's kind of whack. Sorry, I'm out.
And that and the funny thing is that it works for them. Like they all feel like they're part of that community and they are part of that community and that's the space that they enjoy spending time in. So It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
I don't want to knock them because like my like this is something that like I had this thought earlier when you were watching the video about the guy who was saying stuff about PoE 2 being bad. That's kind of what I gathered from it. But he said he was like worried about the future. And I really wonder why like so many people, it feels like now I don't know if I sound like old person like shaking my fist on the lawn, but it feels like so many people now, instead of saying something isn't for me, they say why it needs to change. And it's like, it's okay that some things just aren't for you. Like, there's a lot of things that are for you. So I don't know. I
That is a great point. I feel like that has been lost like hard. I don't know if you had anything more to add to that. Sorry for cutting you
I
off.
mean, I would no, you're totally good. I sort of I've been like because of just like stuff going on, I'm sort of scatterbrained. So there's a couple times where my thought trails off, and I'm real happy for you to jump in and save me when that happens. But I mean, like tying back into like the stream thing, like just because that community isn't for me, I'm not gonna like talk shit about it. Like if they're having fun and they're not, you know causing damage to other people, like just because that just means it's not for me. I go to any one of the other places that is.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that you're you kind of hit the nail on the head with that with regards to games too. I think that especially now, I feel like I'm trying to find the right words to say this. It feels like instead of just closing it down and doing something else, we have to vocalize A, what we don't like, and B, what should be different about it. When like maybe the whole point is that like it is supposed to be that way. And if you're not resonating with it, like, for example, like country music. Like a lot of people love country music. Some people fucking hate it. And like that's okay. I'm not gonna sit here because I don't love country music and write a 2-hour video essay on why country music needs to change. You know what I mean? But gamers do that about video games. It's crazy. And so
Country music is bad, and you're the problem.
exactly.
Have like a red arrow pointing to a banjo with like an X over it or something. Like, oh my
But you know what I mean?
goodness.
It's like the same thing. It's like you could use any sort of example. A lot of people don't like seafood. I'm not going to go here and tell you why all the nutritional benefits of seafood are amazing and you need to eat it. It's like there's probably a lot of bad shit about seafood too, right? So I don't know. Um, do what you like.
Pineapple on pizza, mint chocolate, very polarizing. Who cares?
Yeah, where do you stand on
Fan of
those
both, by the way.
things?
Fan of both of those things. Mint chocolate's one of my favorites for like sweets and like ice cream. And I do have a big sweet tooth, but I keep it in check by just not keeping sweets in the house very often. Um, and pineapple on pizza is awesome. Like that one I really don't understand why it's so contentious because sweet and salty is like a classic combination, and you can add spicy into it, and it's still really good. So like you can like pizza with like bacon or like ham and like pineapple jalapeno on it. Like that's really good.
Yes, dude, that is like my ultimate pizza. I love pineapple on pizza. I'm 50-50 on this. So for me, pineapple on pizza, it's a no-brainer. I've been doing it. It's called Hawaiian pizza for any of you who live under a rock. And it was actually, I don't want to like say Canadians are cool or whatever, but like it was actually invented in Canada. If you wasn't invented in Hawaii, it was invented in
Mm.
this small town in Canada that I actually painted a mural at last summer, and that was their whole like claim to fame was like we're the town that was the first town to put pineapple on pizza sort of thing. And I tried it there at the restaurant where they said that was the first place, and it was insane. But dude, I can't get behind mint chocolate for some reason. I don't know. It's not the same like how you just said like classic combination of like sweet and salty, like minty and sweet for me. Just I don't know, not for me, I guess.
I understand more why that one's contentious, and I like I I I definitely take just like a more for me kind of attitude with that one, but the pineapple on pizza one is always. I do think one thing that I was thinking. I do think that one of the reasons people have issues with it is because it's easy to do it poorly. Like if you don't properly like drain off the excess juice from the pineapple, it makes your cheese real soggy and your crust has the wrong consistency. And I could totally see where like if that's your first experience with it, you're just like, nah, fuck this, I'm out.
100%. If you just like cooked a pizza and took like a can of pineapple rings and just slapped them on the pizza, like that would be absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know you said you wanted to talk more about the gambling stuff. Did you have any sort of questions you wanted
Mm.
to, or like things, points of interest about that?
First of all, I thought it was an amazing video, but like I think, and this is not like a bad thing, but I think it like sort of ruined a little bit of the magic of PoE for me because I've always sort of thought about that stuff, and I was just
Oh
like,
no.
am I just sitting here like a degenerate gambling addict, and then like I'm just trying to tell other people how to be really good at being a degenerate at gambling addicts? Like, is that what I'm doing? So like I thought about that a bunch, but like I do think that like I think like especially the way you did the video, like it's light enough, but I do think it's like a serious issue of like I think that a lot of the game systems like are I think GGG does try their best to make a good game, so this is not me being like a hater, but I do feel like a lot of the game systems are just inherently designed to force you to want to like play for a long time and like need to play for a long time. And I wonder if like where the line is at, because if you make it too easy, like it's a hard, right? That's why I'm saying like, I'm not trying to hate on them, but like it's hard to find the right line because obviously you can't make it too easy or everybody just bounces out, right? Like if you finished your character, level 99 perfect gear in 3 days, like nobody would play that much. But by the same token, like I have played a lot of hours this league, and I've done like every Asmeri spirit I've seen, and I still haven't seen a rite of passage. And like, I play a not good amount. Like, I almost want to pull up my character real quick and pull up my slash play, but I play a lot, and I still have, like, and I'm not saying like, oh, I'm entitled to that thing, but like, if somebody like me who gets to play that much, like doesn't find, and it's not just that, like I really haven't had like anything that's been like a huge drop like that in PoE 2 at all, like across all characters. And like that's fine, I guess. I don't know. I'm not trying to like sound like I'm complaining too much, but like at some point, like how long do you have to run on the treadmill before you get the carrot? And like maybe they could break it down so that you got carrots more frequently, but like it amounted to the same amount of carrot in some way. I don't know how you do that, but
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think the first time I ever stepped into the casino was when I played Diablo 2 when I was like, I don't know, 10. Um, and I've been playing it ever since, basically. And I think that that was the first time I realized how like ARPGs do have this like slot machine aspect to it. And it's because those jackpots, you just never know when they're going to come, right? And you can walk into a casino, like you know, um, my lady's, you know, sister's boyfriend just went into a casino like a week or two ago, and they did one spin on a slot machine and walked out with $17,000. Like they just walked in. I'm gonna put $100 in this machine and do one spin, and they just walked out with $100,000. And that's why we play the game, dude, is because we don't know when that $17,000 is ever going to come. But that's also the problem, is that like the odds of that happening are so low that if you go through the game for an extended period of time and not hit the jackpot, you're going to think this is a fucking waste of my time. Like, why am I doing this? Like, nothing's going my way. I'm not finding all this crazy shit that other people are finding. And like, I feel bad because I found a rite of passage this patch and I died with it. I've actually died with two this patch. Sorry,
yeah.
guys. But I said to myself as soon as I found it, wow, I'm not gonna see this again for a long time. Unless someone just gives it to me. Thank you. Random guy in THC. But yeah, like I know exactly what you're talking about, man. And it's the beauty and the curse of the game design. It's what keeps us coming back and playing. Like, we talked about this maybe a little bit earlier, but like the carrot on the stick for how good your character can be is so far away, but you keep getting incrementally closer and closer and closer and closer. But there's always that next like gap to get to the carrot, right? And then that gap gets pushed even further. And yeah, so it's like it's a special type of game design, but I think it does absolutely like incentivize people to play for a long time, which is at the end of the day, like kind of what they want, right?
The currency, instead of you putting money into the slot machine, the currency is you putting your time into the slot machine. Like it is a time powered slot machine. Every time that you load up a map, you are investing somewhere between what, like a minute and 10 minutes of your life, depending on your build and what content you're doing, how fast you're clearing.
Yeah.
And that's every single time that you do that. And, when you sit down and you play for, you know, anywhere from like 2 to 8, even like 10 hours. Because I think everybody who's played PoE, like who likes PoE and considers themselves a PoE player, has had at least one session where they have played for 10 plus hours. I don't think that's a controversial statement. I'm not saying people play like that all the time, but like everybody's had one day where you didn't have shit to do, and it's like, a week into the league and you're still just, like everybody's done that at least once. But like it's tough when you like really like the game and it is really fun, and it's not like, it's kind of almost like insidious in a way, because like when you lose, your money, like very quickly you start to see the consequences of that, right? Like very quickly when your bank account doesn't have money and you're like, oh shit, things are bad. But like if you're just sitting there and you're just putting in 5-10 minutes and you're doing that hundreds of times a week for years, like that's tough. And I don't know how, like I think GGG actually does try pretty hard to be ethical, but that the inherent design is a little bit predatory, and I don't know what you're supposed to do about that, because it's fun. It's a good game. It isn't bad, and I think they try really hard to make a product that's as honest as it can be. But like, you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
another one of those things where it's like you can identify a problem, but that one is like, that's much bigger than talking about life on a tree. Like I could tell you 20 different solutions that I think could work for life on the tree, and maybe they all suck, but like I could come up with those. I could sit here for the next 10 minutes in silence, and I don't think I'd have one answer to that one. So
It's interesting because this particular casino runs on a currency that everyone has an abundance of, and to varying degrees, right? Like everybody has time. Nobody is without time in their bank account, so to speak. And so it makes it really easy to just put in those 5, 10, 15 minutes, which then turn into hours and hours and hours. And this is something that I've heard Chris Wilson talk about. Obviously he has such a deep love for Diablo 2, and in Diablo 2, there are items that people have played for 20 years and never found. Like it's just like crazy holy grail shit. And I remember him, I think he might have been talking about this with Mr. Llama in a recent podcast where he was thinking, do we put those things into Path of Exile? And they did, and they put them in Path of Exile 2, and I'm sure there's going to be more of them that happen in Path of Exile 2 as well. And the tough thing is that it creates those moments that you never forget. Like when you find your first rite of passage, you're gonna be like, "Holy shit, I finally got one! Like today is the best day ever." Right? And it could be a headhunter, it could be whatever you're looking for at the time. Even a perfect jeweler's orb for some people who are, just getting into maps is like, my build is now so much better because I have
the
this.
feeling of finding a 6 link in the campaign in PoE 1,
Yeah,
like,
it's a game changer, right? And so like
mhm.
without having that, it takes away all of it. Like it takes away those moments, right? And so I'm in the exact same point as you. I don't know where they should adjust things or if they even should. Like I'm fine with it because at the end of the day, I'm comfortable with like investing the time and not necessarily having it immediately be like a tangible reward. Um,
Mhm.
but I still have fun anyway. And that's like the key thing. Like if you're not having fun, like maybe as we mentioned before, like this isn't the game for you, I guess.
Well, also, I think like because of the nature of it and the fact that it's a, like, let's just not mince words, like it's a fairly addictive game. Like everything in life requires moderation, and if you're not having fun with Path of Exile right now, like just I know it sounds easy, but like go do something else for a little bit. And like you're gonna come back to it at some point. Like it's because like if you like this game, that's like the thing is like yeah, it's got the gambling thing, but a lot of times that's not what people are like that's what creates like the excitement and the highs and stuff like that and makes the gameplay loop fun. But like a lot of people like to play PoE for like the creativity and like the cool and weird builds and like finding different farming strategies and like playing spreadsheet simulator or whatever. Like that's fun for a lot of people too. And that is not like the addictive thing at all, right? You're doing the addictive thing so that you can do that thing. Because
Right.
you need, whether you're an SSF or trade or whatever, you need resources to get things you want. Um, there was that thing again where I just trailed off on it. Sorry about it.
No, no, you're good, man. No, I think the addiction thing was something that I could have done a whole video on just like is PoE 2 addictive by design and like broken it down, being like, these are the things that are, potentially like addictive by nature, by design. And I chose to like keep it light and just like made fun of myself for being an addict, basically, which might have been too real for some people. But I had a course in university when I was doing my studies about like art and video games, and one of the things we had to do as a final assignment was write a essay about like something about video games. And so my topic was just about the addictive nature of video games. And specifically focused on World of Warcraft. And I talked about, their monetization system. They're like the way they make money is by having a reoccurring payment from you every month. And so they're intentionally making everything super slow in the game so that you have to do things over a slower point or a slower pace, and therefore spend more time and pay more money and like all these things. It all came down to like this monthly subscription was like the result, or like this monthly subscription resulted in all of these different things. You couldn't get a mount until level 40 and then you could finally ride around. You had to fly everywhere. There's no instant travel. Like all of these decisions kept you playing the game for longer, and like that resulted in them having like 10 million subscribers, because it was addictive and you could feel the dopamine when you finally got on your mount and you're like, holy shit, I can run around at 60% increased move speed. Like insane. This is amazing. And so it's a very common thing in a lot of games where like there are certain things in the game that are just like fundamentally are supposed to take up a lot of your time. And yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah, I'd like it, it it's gonna happen. Especially because like business is mixed in like so heavily with games at this point. But I think like it's okay to do things that are purely in your business interest if you are trying to make like if you are authentically trying to make a good product or genuinely trying to make a good product, not like and I think GGG hits that mark for me, even if sometimes like I don't agree with a lot of stuff. There's like and like for yeah, you've got like your big developers that are not great, things like Activision and stuff like that. But like by the same token, like Team Cherry put out Silk Song, and that game was $20, and it is one of the best game. $20 brand new the day it came out, and that's one of the best video games I think I will ever play in my life. It was gameplay wise 10 out of 10, like music and just everything about it. So like it's you don't have to like you don't have to like compromise the integrity of your art to make money if your art is good enough, you know?
Yeah, and I think like, for me, I'm still stand by how I felt about GGG since I started playing the game like a year ago. Is like the value that they provided the player has always been like an incredible amount of value. Like, when PoE 2 becomes free, like you can hop in and, play as much as you want, without spending a single dime. Like it's a special like they're a very special company, and yes, there are potential things that may be viewed as like controversial, some that were highlighted in the video I made or whatever, but like at the end of the day, like it could be so much like you could be doing so many worse things with like with regards to gambling. Like it is like a really truly like the safest way to experience some of those highs and lows in a way where you're not actually like losing anything more than like a little bit of time or whatever, or a lot of time depending on how much you've spent in the game. But yeah, it could be way worse.
This is like pretty much one of the only areas of my life where I am pretty into gambling. Like I like playing poker and I'm decent at that, but that's the only thing I've ever played at the casino. Like I don't mess with slots. If I knew about blackjack, I might mess with blackjack, but I don't, so I don't. Don't play anything else. Like if I go to the casino with people, I either like sit down at the poker table for a bit or I just walk around and watch everybody else do stupid stuff. Um but in PoE, like I mean, because of the fact that like the risk is so low, yeah, it's fun. It's fun to be like, and like I do this all the time. Like I've been, like people in chat have been joking, like calling it scrimp crafting, where like I just like I'm looking at some item and I'm like, if I hit like two back-to-back 1 and 3s, this is pretty good. And if I don't, well, like screw it, we just throw it back on the ground. And like every once in a while it hits, and like I literally like I made like a pair of boots that a couple days ago doing exactly this that I then price checked at like 500 divines or something. But
Damn.
like it's fun, and like most of the time it don't work, and like in most all of these cases at some point I could have just sold what was there. Like I could have sold the magic, like the pair of boots I made started with like a T1 flat, T1 res as a magic, and I was like, I looked at it, I was like price checked it at 2 div, I was like, I don't care about 2 div, let's just see if it works. And it turned out to get like it was double T1 ES, T1 move speed, 2 T1 res, and the other res was T3. I'm just like, holy, these boots are so good. And like, but I could have sold that for a couple. I could have like not gotten out, but it was fun. It was fun to keep clicking and see if it turned into something. And then there's times where like, I've been looking at jewels recently and I'm like, oh, this has 2 really good mods, but like those other 2 are bad. Why don't we just throw some chaos orbs at it and see? And you're just like, eh. Or like the last example, sorry, I don't want to go too long. But like I keep linking you these Aziri chests, right? Like I could sell them for 500 div, but it's really fun to identify it. And if I like, as soon as I identify the energy shield one, I'm gonna look at it and be like, I could sell that for 1300 div, and then I'm gonna start hitting it with infusers until it corrupts, and I'm gonna hit it with the
Yeah.
cultivation orb. Like
It's the
this is
layers,
fun.
right? There's layers to all of the stuff, from like finding the actual item to how the item actually like can be rolled to like corrupting the item. It's just like it's crazy, the amount of like layers that you can take it. And I love that you brought up poker, because I do think that like it's the best like real world example of the game. Like, because with poker, I would say it's like 50% RNG and 50% skill. Like you can be the best poker player ever and still have an absolutely terrible day because just everything about the day just didn't work out for you. But you can also like win a lot more in poker by like practicing and studying and like learning like the math behind what's happening, like, and the chances of things happening. And so I look at that the same way I look at PoE 2, where it's like, yeah, you can be a fucking amazing PoE 2 player and or PoE player and never find, a good drop or something for, or hit a good roll, or miss every single fracture for like 2 weeks. And you're like, what am I doing wrong? I'm literally doing nothing wrong. But like as you learn about the game and as you progress through the game, you find these ways to like tailor your shit. So it's like a prime example is yesterday I found a +5 to melee skills mace and I needed to fracture that. And so I said to myself, I could either fracture this at a 1 in 4 chance of hitting, or I could annul it for 1 in 4, or sorry, a 3 out of 4 chance to annul something that wasn't the +5, and then desecrate it. And then I could fracture it, and it would be a 1 out of 3. And so that's how I did it, and it worked out because I was able to like slowly bring down the amount of risk that I needed to take for that craft, for instance. And so
Yeah, yeah.
it's cool to be able to do that and like sort of like skillfully navigate through like the gamba, if you will.
Yeah, no, like I feel like poker's probably more for me at least. I think like a 70-30 kind of thing. But yeah, and like that's more about like the larger your sample size gets, the more a better player will show up. Like if I sit down at a table, with 8 other random people or something, like on that given day, anybody could do well. But like if you set the same people down every week for a year, whoever's the best player is most likely going to have the most money at the end of that year. And like PoE is kind of the same, right? Like anybody could like, watch a little bit of a tutorial on crafting and like screw around for a second, and if you get lucky, like holy crap, I just made, this insane item. Like, but the more you learn about like, oh, here's a way I can like, eke a couple percent out here. Here's a way I can squeak a couple percent out over there. Like, other weird sound effects, couple percent over there. Like, um, so like, yeah, like that's and it's great. Like I love, and that's part of the fun of like making content for PoE and why I like sharing like sort of like content to like teach people stuff about the game is that like there's just so much depth to it that like there's very few PoE streamers that I've ever watched who like everybody picks up something new. Like except for like maybe literally Ben in PoE 1. Like people probably learn something new about the game every time they log in. Like I mean, and probably not even Ben when you think about it, because like I mean, even people like Ben and Jungrown find new interactions sometimes, and like other people who put in a lot of that time. For like I haven't kept up as much with like PoE 2 and like who is kind of like that kind of player for PoE 2. Somebody who's like high knowledge and also cleaning house mechanically, but like there it was again. I'm so sorry, dude. I feel like 90% of the chat's been amazing. I just have had like problems with my attention span recently, and so I keep losing track of my thoughts. I think it's just easier to recognize it and move on. My bad.
You're all good, bro. No, I totally hear you. I think what's cool is that you're absolutely right. I think that no matter who you are, there's always more to learn. And like even yesterday, dude, I was playing and I had somebody in chat who was like, "Yo, you can get the same augmented body part in the temple if you do it this way, where you like remove the one you have. Like, let's say you want attack speed, you take off attack speed, take something else you don't want, and then do a bunch of the tier 3 like surgery rooms until you find 2 rooms that have rolled with attack speed, and then go back to back and pick those up." And I was like, this is amazing. Now I went from like, potentially having 10 attack speed to 20 from the temple. And it's just like something that I probably could have figured out myself if I had just kept doing the temple more. But it was like, that was a very impactful thing that I just learned about. And it was like, there's probably so much shit like that that I'm just like completely skimming over and I'm like almost there, but I haven't quite like discovered it. And like, that is, I think, one of the biggest allures for the game is that like the wealth of knowledge is like almost like insurmountable. And that's what's created this whole like, as we talked about, like ecosystem of content around the game. Like there is always something to teach and help like guide us in the casino, so to speak, to help us improve our odds.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely my favorite part of the game. Just that there's always something new to learn. The thing you just mentioned too, I had speculated that that might work, but I never went and confirmed it. So I learned that that actually works because of you talking about it. Like,
Nice. I mean,
I was like, does that work? Can you do that? I don't know. I'm too lazy to find out.
dude, and I got it on my first. Yo, yesterday was crazy. Yesterday was insane. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you if you had anything that was like a hot take about PoE 2 or PoE 1, maybe something that we could disagree on that might spark some like discussion about things. Like, just hit me with some takes, and I'll see if I can like agree with that or not.
I tried to sit and think about this a lot. I here's a kind of hot take.
Okay.
I think I actually it needs work, but I actually think I do like the PoE 2 Atlas system more. I like the traveling around and finding stuff, and it's really
Oh,
cool. You find like a lineage map.
yeah.
I think that the more that they add cool things to find while you're exploring around, that will be great. And I think the Atlas tree itself is like pretty lackluster. But that's something that you can change, fairly easily. I like the
Right.
way that we get points on the Atlas tree. I definitely am not a huge fan of that. But the core like exploration system is so much cooler to me than just I run all of these maps. I get my 132 out of 132, and I'll see you guys later. I'm running City Square for the next 2 months. Like,
Yeah. No, it's hard for me to disagree with this because I agree about the like not I wouldn't say the novelty of it, but I think that it is I see what they're trying to do. I see what they're trying to do, and for what it's worth, I think it's working. I'm just so excited to see what happens next patch because, like, I really hope that they continue to develop it. A lot of people just want it gone, man. Like, and I'm not one of those people. I'm like a believer in the fact that they can cook something that works better than what we have now, but is still like fundamentally has the same exploration aspect because it's different. It's fun. It makes PoE 2 feel like PoE 2. And I like how they've sort of like separated from PoE 1. That being said, like having the agency that PoE 1 has is really nice. And I'm sure like, I think that's why people enjoy PoE 1's endgame system so much is because you can just do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to just run one map forever, you can do that. And so do you think that like the Atlas will get to a point where like we have this exploration, but it can be tailored to have more like choice about what you do? Or do you think that those are contradictory things?
I think honestly, like PoE 1 has the right currency to adapt already for this. Adapt Horizon Orbs over. Horizon Orbs, add them into the game, make them common enough that you can use them to avoid layouts you hate, but not so common that it would be very easy for an SSF player to only run one map,
Right.
right? Make them common enough so that where in trade it is reasonable for players who don't have 1% or wealth to use them sometimes, but not so common that like everybody's spamming them onto absolutely everything. And then make it so the horizon orbs roll inside of the biome, right? So that you can keep that like biome identity. So like I can use a horizon orb on this node on the Atlas and it's a desert node, right? I really don't want to run Molten Works, or is that what that's called? The map where you have to fight the gold guy at the end
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
very long, tons of doors. That map just doesn't feel fun to run. So I can change that and maybe I get Sun Temple, and Sun Temple, even though the thing in the middle can be kind of annoying for certain builds, like that layout is really nice to run. Like the door on the second triangle is always in the same position every time. So if you see the crack, if you have pounce too, this is something that's really cool. Pounce or blink or any other way to cover a gap. If you find the gap, you can just jump over the gap and immediately run to that corner, and the boss will be right there every time. And then you'll be able to see where all of the rest of the content is in your map and go back and find it. Because like I think they've done a pretty good job with like making the maps feel good, but like it does you don't feel very rewarded for doing things outside of the rares and your mechanics and stuff like that. And so it's good when you can get to the boss quick and kind of go back and do just that stuff instead of exploring the dead zone that has a blue chest and 3 white mobs.
Yeah. I would love to see horizon orbs or some way to tailor the maps. Because yeah, I think like, there's a lot that they could do with these biomes, right? Like there's a incentive to go into specific areas like the corrupted zones to make them cleansed and whatnot and find, citadels, and those citadel areas have their own type of maps and stuff like that. I just feel like they're not quite pushing me in certain ways to achieve certain things. But aside from a few like cases basically, like outliers. And so, but yeah, man, I think it would be super cool if I was in a desert zone and one of the maps that's in there is called like Bastille, I think is his name. If I could
Mm.
just change that into an epitaph or something, or like somehow roll, these layouts. I mean, interestingly
Oh,
enough, I feel like they've gotten to the point now where I don't hate that many maps. Like, Molten Vault, as you mentioned, I fucking hate that map so much. Sun Temple's another one, but it's gotten to the point now where like they've gotten like 75, 80% of them are great. Like I don't have an issue running them.
yeah, yeah. Like Meyer's another one. This one I think is really funny. Vol Factory getting renamed to the Assembly because the Assembly is one of the best maps in the game now. Like it feels super smooth and comfortable to run. And
Yes.
Vol Factory was so hated on. And I wondered immediately when I realized that that was what happened. I was like, did they literally just rebrand it because Vol Factory had a PR nightmare? They're like, can't keep that.
That's actually such a good point, dude. I think it's a mixture of two things. So with Valve Factory specifically, like this was before every you know map had a boss on it. So when you went into Valve Factory, the whole point was to find all of the rares. And now to complete the map, you have to kill the boss, right? And it's just literally a straight line right to the boss. You just go. And that aspect immediately changed it from being pretty annoying. Val monsters are, people don't like fighting them generally. Like they're kind of some of the harder like monster bases in the game. But now you can just like beat the map immediately. And if you don't want to continue doing the rest of the content, you can just move on. And so
Mhm.
I think they rebranded it, and I like the rebrand. It's like a nice fresh repackaging of that map for sure. What are some of
Yeah.
your like top maps that you like to run?
Mm, hmm. I mean, definitely the assembly. But I like God, I can't remember what it's called. It's like it's similar to the zone in Act 4 with the bells, where the like
Cliff
crazy church people put okay,
Cliffside, I
yeah.
think. Yeah.
That map, it's like it feels a lot like Strand from PoE 1 feels to me, but it's way more visually stunning.
Hmm.
And I'm someone where like when you were talking about like MTX stuff earlier on stream before we started chatting, and you were talking about like functionality and like placing that way higher than aesthetic. And I really love to find where the functionality and the aesthetic meet. Like that's the place I want to exist all the time with like most of the things that I do.
Yes.
Um, and so like I will ultimately run a better map than one that looks good. But if two maps are relatively equal, I'll run the one that looks better every single time. And like Delirium, I don't like even they did a good job of making it less intrusive, but like running Delirium makes every map you run ugly. It's sad.
I know, and I'm so happy that they made it better in 0.4. I know exactly what you mean though. Like some of my favorite aesthetically looking maps are some of my like least favorite maps. Like Forge. I think Forge looks so fucking badass. It has like the lava and the
Oh
black.
yeah.
Like it looks sick, but the layout is terrible. Something like, I think where they achieved like the perfect sort of mixture is like Slick, for example. Like Slick looks really cool. It's got this dark, like kind of grimy vibe to it, but the pathing is just like a big circle essentially. The boss arena in Slick like kind of lights up when you like enter the boss arena and like you have to fight the lady from Act 2. And like for me, I know exactly what you mean. Some of the best maps for me are also some of the most boring maps. Like one of my favorites is Confluence, which is literally just like a giant
Oh yeah.
open desert
Mhm.
area, and you run straight, and the boss is at the end, and it's like that map is so ugly. It's just like a brown, like sandy, walled in area, and there's nothing cool aesthetically looking like that look, nothing aesthetically pleasing about it, but it just functionally is so nice. It's just so good for
That-
Breach and other content.
I was literally just thinking like Abyss Overrun Confluence.
It's so good, so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the ones that you just avoid at all cost?
I mean, Meyer and Magma. Did you say Magma Chamber, Molten
Yeah, like I
Chamber,
think it's called Molten Vault. I think that's the one.
Molten Vault? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that one. I still like if I have to do them, I do them, especially now because like what I've been doing is like just doing Temple, and I have something like 80 grand projects just from dropping them in the Temple in a tab. So I just grand project around and run until
Nice.
I find the
Yeah.
thing and leave. So they've been less annoying since that, but like those two, and then honestly, I don't remember. Maybe it's called Willow, but whichever one, it's like the outdoor map, but it has a ton of those trees that like block you,
Yes. I think
and
that's
it's
Willow,
like
yeah.
it's got a lot of different elevation. I think because of the elevation and all of the different trees, most of the places you can't walk look like places you can walk. And so a lot of times, like I have, especially like as a character's like getting powerful, I'll take deaths on that map because it's like you're walking and you're kiting a monster and you get stuck on something that visually you have no reason to think you're stuck on it. And so it's just like aesthetically the map is fine, like it's kind of like a fall forest, like that's fine, whatever. But like gameplay wise, even though it's like open, it just feels so icky. I don't like it.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Not my favorite as well. Although there are definitely ones that I would way rather like I would say are way lower on my list. Like I think that's an issue just with like some map design in PoE 2 in general. I've talked about this with quite a few people. It's just like the pockets of random clutter. Like what's that other map? Spring is another one which could be an amazing layout, but there's just so many of these little pools of water everywhere that just like kind of like if they just reduce
Mm,
these things, like the same thing with Willow, like you mentioned, there's like these slopes that like don't look like slopes. So you're kind of like, why am I backed into a corner right now? And it's literally just because like you're up against a weird hill or something. Um,
yeah.
I would love to see all of that stuff kind of like dialed in 0.5 because like the quality of life that that would add to a lot of the, like it would make it so that a vast majority of the layouts are just like amazing. Like yeah, there's so many. So
Yeah,
many.
I think most like I think even the annoying ones are like not too far off. I think they definitely did a good job. It feels like they listened to the community from like the complaints from 0 to 1 to now.
Yes.
Like
I mean, dude, remember
I
what towers used to be like? Every
oh
single
god.
tower was like that one map from Act 2, like the Spires of Desharda.
Every single one. Oh
Every
my
single
goodness.
one.
And you had to do them. Like you
Yeah.
couldn't possibly avoid it. Oh, that
Yeah.
was so awful.
Yeah. And like it's funny, like I think towers specifically in Path of Exile 2 have probably been a point of contention, one of the biggest points of contention in like the entire history of the game so far. Um, and they've changed drastically, and I think they're in like a decent spot now, but they almost feel like useless. Like not fully useless, like they still provide you like vision and stuff, but like and I guess they give you that guaranteed precursor tablet, but like other than that, like I just never run them. It's weird, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I actually I guess it's a bit of a hot take that I like the towers, but I do like agree they need a little more like stuff like grand project, for example, like more things like that that could maybe interact with them, even if it's not like a ton of them. Like putting in a couple more things that could do that, giving you just a little bit more incentive. Because like I don't think just getting rid of them is good. Because as long as they want to try to do this Atlas, and I hope that they do, we need more things that you got to find, not less. You know, like I wasn't playing. I don't think when like the lineage gems initially got introduced, or maybe I was. Was that also 03?
Yeah, that was 03. Yeah.
Man, so all this stuff I just didn't read the patch notes. That's what really happened. I just didn't read the
You
patch notes.
just
I
went
just
in
logged in and
blind.
said we're
Yeah.
well. That's what PoE 2's the thing that I think that they really got right more than anything over PoE 1 is that like you can do that, especially if you've already got ARPG experience, like you can just dive into PoE 2 and like yeah, maybe you're not gonna be out there making as much money as like the one percenters, and maybe you're not going to be getting to level 100 3 days into the league like the best hardcore blasters and speedrunners and stuff, but like you know
Yeah, you can still
you can still have a good
you can
time.
still play. I think that yeah, I don't know that this might be a hot take now, but I've been saying this for a long time, and I wonder if you agree with this. I just think every tower should have Grand Project attached to it automatically. I feel like that tablet shouldn't exist, and that should just be the way that we interact with towers. Like you do a tower, you know, and it depends on the waystone you put in. So you put in a tier 1 and it's like a small tiny little radius around it that you can jump around to. You can still path, of course, the way that we path right now, but you put in a juice like T15 and it gives you a fucking like big old radius. And then by the time you're in the end game and you have way more agency over what maps you do because you're doing towers, you're doing harder content on those towers, they're providing you with a bigger radius, a bigger area that you can travel to, and then you can literally just choose where you want to go. And that's kind of the end point of the end game is like now I'm just flying around. I can pick the maps I want. What do you think about that?
I think I like that. I mean, ultimately the only thing that is like the if you make them substantially better, you know that they're gonna wind up having to nerf like how often you see them.
Yes.
um but I don't think it's bad. And like, I mean, some kind of like ability to warp around, I think, is very good in like, this maybe even like if Grand Project wasn't necessarily built in, you could still use it to have that effect. But when you use a tower, the next waystone you access can be anything in the radius, right? And then like Grand Project, gives them all maps in the air in that radius a tag that like they can be run. But like
Oh, that could be cool. And like
because
that
like
number could scale with maybe like the difficulty of
yeah,
the
the same thing you're
waystone
saying,
too.
like
Yeah.
like if you run a T15 Waystone, your tower allows you to jump much further away. And so like it allows you to keep like that feeling of like you start off and the journey is small, right? And then like the more you go out and the more like it's the classic like JRPG trope of like, hey, hour one you're gonna go rescue someone's cat, and 100 hours later you're killing God. But like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
there's a whole lot of steps along the way, and I think like if you want this exploration thing, you probably want it to feel like early on that's something else that I hope they find a way to like balance out, because right now like it is cool to use it, but ultimately I don't feel like I'm incentivized to do anything but go in a straight line. And occasionally if I see those pretty little colored beams on the side for the citadels, we go over there and we fight a citadel.
Mhm.
I definitely want to see like more incentive to like actually go out in different directions rather than just like take a straight line, but I also don't know how you do that.
Yeah, it seems like right now the only purpose for towers is just to do grand project hopping. And yeah, we've gone through this whole, I guess, series of changes to the towers where it was like you had to do them and you dreaded it because the layout was bad. Then they added new layouts, and then we were all into like the triple tower like radius juicing areas where you'd like spend an hour making this crazy like juiced area. And now it's like towers just have basically no purpose. And I wonder if there's a way to make it so that it feels like more exciting to do them, because like they've like tripled or quadrupled down on them being in the game. Like they could have removed them from the game, and at this point, like I don't think they would be missed. Like if 0.5 came around in April when it does or whatever, and they were just like, yeah, we're just done with towers. Like towers are gone. Like here's, your maybe your light radius or whatever in maps just increases over time as your atlas gets filled out more. Like you can see more on the atlas or something. Like I don't think people would be mad about it. Like I don't think it's just like a kind of a thing now in the game where you're just like, all right, there's a tower. Like, who cares?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's totally fair. Like they definitely don't add enough now to where they really matter very much. But I think that with it wouldn't take too much reworking for them to exist. But yeah, I mean, if they get rid of them too, like whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, you guys tried your best, and yeah, I don't know, but we'll see. Man, I'm so excited for 0.5, dude. Like, I know that we're still in the thick of 0.4. For me, I'm very happy playing 0.4 for as long as I can. But yeah, dude, like as somebody like yourself, like I've spent a lot of time playing the end game, and like, I'm just like really keen on seeing where they end up with like what the final, maybe not like the final vision for the end game is, but like where they're going, what direction they're going in it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I think that'll be a really good indicator for people who are maybe like on the fence about PoE 2, of whether it is going in the direction like they want or not. And I do think that like I think that if they want meaningful combat, they just need to figure out how to make pinnacle bosses that, and try to keep that out of the generic mapping experience, because the meaningful combat idea is cool. Like people like Dark Souls, I've be like, I don't know, I played Elden Ring was my first Souls game. Somebody bought it for me from chat. That was super cool thing. One of the coolest things that's happened since I started streaming, by the way. I just like talked about, oh yeah, it'd be really cool to try that game out sometime, I guess. And like the next day someone's like, yo, check your Steam. I'm like, just have Elden Ring
Nice.
and Shadow of the Erdtree sitting there. And I played it and I loved it. And like that, I think you can have boss fights like that, right? Like I really enjoyed the experiences on 0-1 of going and fighting max difficulty Zesh with a character who was like just good enough to do it. Like that fight's really well designed when you don't walk up and shove him into a locker. Like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
and I feel like that's the case with a decent amount of. I mean, I don't know. Like Olroth's probably a little boring, but they just like copy pasted that over from PoE 1, so I don't mind too much. Same with like King of the Mist. I think Arbiter's cool, and they've made some steps to put in the right direction. I think it could be like a really great boss, but right now I don't like that he's so heavily one-shot designed. I feel like there's like almost nothing that guy does that you can actually eat a hit from, other than if he smacks you with his dumb plank thing he's carrying around. I know it's a sword, but I wanted to make fun of him. He's a nerd.
I know exactly what you mean. I think that they're very close, and like this is again something that like, and here's the thing: I don't want to get my expectations too high, because I don't know. I know GGGs are capable of dropping amazing stuff every single patch as they've done, like since 0.1, and have they've been doing since, PoE 1 was a thing. But I'm just trying not to get too excited about the end game stuff because as much as I want all of these changes, like as as much as meaningful pinnacle boss fights would be, I would be equally excited about just like a search functionality in the Atlas. Like I'd be like, yes, like we finally can search for things in the Atlas. Like I don't know. Because that would make such a big difference for the game for so many more players and like these insane boss fights that like maybe me and you are capable of like getting to, but like the majority of people are just never going to see them anyways. You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm really excited for is like the things that are just going to make the game better for the most amount of people. That being said, though, like the whole meaningful combat conversation, I think they've just fully pivoted from that. And it is a little disappointing because that was something that for me really like hooked me as a zero point 0.1 like gamer when I first started playing the game. Like, you talked about Zesht as a, going into tier 3 Zesht as a undergeared character. And like, yeah, you were fighting for your life, man. Like it was a crazy feeling. And I felt that way throughout the whole game. Like it was like Geonor, Jamin Ra, like, these bosses felt like I was literally like, yeah, struggling, man. So but not many people like that. Like maybe you or I like that, but I think the general take was like, this is too hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and well, that's like it is a that's a really tough thing to do with the design is like how do you like you want to create content for everybody. Like that's the strength of a game like this where you can have so many different kinds of content is like you can appeal to a wide variety of people, like Darth Microtransaction loves Blight and I can't stand Blight. But there's a lot of people who love Blight, and it's cool that there's something for people who love Blight. Like I'm sure there's some mechanics that I love that maybe DM doesn't, vibe with so much. Like I just brought him up because he's very, famously likes Blight. Like it's a thing that gets commented on a lot,
For
and
sure.
like don't know him, but he seems pretty cool. Like he's one of the like large content creators that I feel like I like I I like as much as I can for somebody that like I don't really know, right? I always try to be like realistic about like how well I know these people because it's like this it's a face that I see on my screen. Obviously that's the different case here when like I chat with you, like we have actual, real conversations and there's like other streamers that like, I talk to in DMs and stuff about either content creation or just the game and stuff. That's different, but like yeah, I mean I don't know, so I don't want to say like absolutely, oh, he's the best. He does seem like he's pretty cool though. So like anyway, sorry. Tangent on Darth Vader is actually you seem like a cool dude. Um,
Can confirm.
uh,
Very cool guy.
it's nice that there's lots of content though, and but I would 100% like agree with what you said. Like the more you make, but at the same time, I guess I don't think about that stuff as much now, the QOL stuff, because they have shown since 0.1 a huge willingness to like change their position on friction and what QOL is good. Like, and so I don't worry about that stuff because I know that when those issues, like if people have those issues, they will raise them and GGG will deal with them. Like, so I guess that's why like, I feel really confident in that above all else with like the design that like
True. Yeah. That's a good
they're
point.
doing a really good job of listening to QOL. So like those things feel more like a matter of time.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It is just a matter of time on those things. Like they're very aware of it. I'm sure that's a massive priority, absolutely. It's just for me, I think the meaningful combat thing was like I think a lot of people are holding on to, and rightfully so, this I guess I don't want to use this word, but vision for the game that like was sold to people like prior to the game like coming out and when the game was released, it kind of like fit within that. But like they GGD is very aware of like the player feedback and they make changes based on that. And like if the majority of people say they don't like something and they change it, like I think it's okay for the game to change its vision, like based on how the players are, responding to it. And that's kind of where we find ourselves now, man. Like, it is certainly not the game that it was in 0.1, but is it fun? I think so. I think it's a lot of fun.
I also like if I think a lot of that can also be solved by like the people who like the challenge, like part of that challenge can maybe just shift over to like more kind of like race event kinds of things. And like the same players who really like the struggle, you're forced to be able to do stuff with the struggle in a race setting. And like if you do, I don't know, I know that that's hard for them to do that stuff. Like a lot of those, but like anything, even if it's like community stuff, like the Gauntlet, for example, right? Like that gets people interested, and like viewership for PoE goes like way up, and it gives the kinds of players in PoE one who like that kind of challenge something big to go for, so they don't have to, balance every other piece of content around that as much. And like, because yeah, I mean the struggle is fun, but it is also fun to walk into the Arbiter and just you like you watch Jujutsu Kaisen at all? There's like I haven't seen the new season yet, but there's this scene that I've seen get memed where this guy is just beating the shit out of someone behind him and not looking, and he's just doing like a swoop through his hair to the camera. And
Yeah.
like it's fun to do that to the Arbiter. Just you're not even looking at him, just smacking around, and you're like, get out of here, man.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I feel like right now our characters become absolutely godly for everything, like every piece of content in the game, basically, like including the temple to a certain degree. And so it might feel like, do you think it would feel weird if you just had this character that was just like, I'm shitting on everything, and then it goes into something that like you like it has to scale accordingly to the power level. I think that if there was a jump into like meaningful combat where it was like, you spend all this time building up this character to like godlike potential, and then fighting a boss that's like, I do basically no damage and have to engage with like every single mechanic perfectly. Like it's just such a rough thing to figure out for them. And I do not envy that sort of like, design phase that they have to go through with that. Seems really hard.
I th- I do think it would be pretty tough, but not impossible to like design encounters because like you don't want it to be like just oh they have a million HP, not like a million, right? Because it's but like
A
large
billion.
number. Insert
Yeah.
whatever number you
Yeah.
think is a lot.
Yeah.
That much HP. Like they don't. That doesn't have to happen, and they don't have to have like crazy. Instead, like making it so that like something that I do like about the Arbiter is like he's got a number of mechanics where like he is not actively attacking you. Like he's setting up an attack, but he's not actively dealing damage in that moment, and you can't damage him. It
Right.
forces you to interact with the mechanic, but I don't like when like bosses are just invulnerable and damaging you. Like that doesn't feel good.
Mhm.
But like if it's like, a lot of people don't like Maven memory game, but I actually love it. I think like that's a really, really good way to like prolong that fight with that doesn't feel cheap. Um I
No,
know
yeah.
that's probably another
That
big hot take that memory game is sick, but
No, I
it's good.
understand that point. I think that you hit the nail on the head. Like that's always kind of what felt bad to me about some of the bosses in PoE 1. I mean, I think that just like the PoE 2 bosses are superior for a lot of reasons, but it was because there were these like transitionary phases where like they were invulnerable and somehow able to attack you sometimes. And it was just like, okay. Or like they were invulnerable for the sake of it and it didn't really add anything to the fight. Like I think like the Tavakai fight in PoE 2 is a perfect example of kind of where they went wrong, where it's like this guy has three phases. He's his last phase is pretty scary, but like, man, half of the fight is literally just him yapping. It's him RPing. Like, it's probably my
This
least
is
favorite.
not the
It's
way.
probably my least favorite boss in the whole game. I don't know anybody who's like, yeah, Tavakai, I love that fight. It's great, So yeah.
Yeah, it's that fight is awful. Like it's so bad, but you have to run it because it drops the pretty support gem.
It drops Rakianas, yeah, exactly. But everyone does
Ugh.
Rakianas on like tier whatever it is, 6 and just like one shots them, so it's fine. But yeah. But we'll see what happens with the bosses. I'm sure we're gonna get some like Maven memory game type stuff in the future with all of the like, continued pinnacle bosses that we get, and who knows, maybe even that meaningful combat might come back in some shape or form.
Yeah, I mean, I like talk about it only because like it is the thing that's like kind of got it's like been brought up a lot and memed on a lot. But like, I I won't be like devastated if it goes. I'm not like attached to it, but if it's something that they do try, like I think it's interesting to think about. Okay, like how could it work? You know. Like
Totally.
you're probably right. Like I mean, we have shifted like 0-3 compared to 0-4 feels even more just like blasty, go 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 with the addition of like the temple and stuff like that. Um, I think I saw somebody posted that this is like related but side. I think I saw a post on Reddit where somebody sold a Temporalis relic for 18,800 divine orbs. That's for a chance to get a Temporalis.
Jesus.
Like, and oh my goodness, yeah, that's I could go off on a whole 10-minute rant on why that game or that item is not good for the game, but we'll save that one for another
That
time.
one's
Maybe I
next
should just make a
time.
video on that myself.
Oh, that would be a good one. I will say this. You can make combat meaningful if you want to in PoE 2. And if you want to do it, it's totally possible. Like, for instance, last week before Timmy's League started, I did a challenge run where I did Maze Strike only in hardcore solo self found on a fresh start, where I had to only use Maze Strike. I couldn't use any spirit gems. I couldn't use any abilities. Um, and
And no spirit gems? I guess that's fair because base strike with like the heralds was OP at some point.
exactly.
So
And it actually was a ton of fun. I had to figure out how am I going to get splash damage. There's the one mace base that gives you actual splash damage. There's also splash damage on the passive tree. And so I was using weapon set points to like spec into splash damage and AoE scaling on one side. And then I spec into single target damage for bosses. The part of the challenge was that I had to fight every single boss chronologically, no skipping them, and I also couldn't log out or pause the game during any encounters. So it was like
hmm.
literally as meaningful as you could get. Every single thing in the game was like a threat. I was just like me and my guy and his big stick were just going to town. We died to the monkey after bashing each other's heads in with our like sticks of choice. But dude, it was like a blast, man. And it kind of brought me back to the same feeling that I got in 0.1, where I was like, yo, like this is hard. It's feeling incredibly rewarding. And yeah, I'm like engaged like the entire time. And maybe I'm just a masochist, but I would, guys, if you're looking for meaningful combat, run the game on hardcore SSF with Mace Strike only, and you will be locked in the entire time. It's a good time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, challenge content seems like a fun way to like spice the game up too, just like putting weird restrictions on yourself. Because at this still relatively early stage that PoE2's in, even like with the addition of the temple, there's really not too much content. Like my character in like a juice temple feels so far beyond what's necessary. Like I have my comet at level 40 at this point. Like the average hit when it's not infused says 2 million, and that's like a in hideout tooltip. You don't need that. And so maybe
No.
it's more fun to like mess around and figure out like, can I take out Zesht with a paper clip and a dream? You
Yeah.
know, can I get my rare tablets with like box tops for education or something?
I'm already thinking about what the next challenge run is, dude. I'll say this. So I'm thinking about doing a event at the end of 0.4, where we haven't figured out the entire rule set for this, but it would be a default attack only challenge league, basically with like a prize, and it would be like invite only to the homies and streamers who are like interested in these types of things. But I will definitely send you an invite if you're keen on doing it, because we haven't decided on if it's only going to be like martial weapon or spell basic attacks as well. Because with the different
Mm.
like staffs and wands, they all have their own like intrinsic basic attack. And I think it would actually uncover a lot of like interesting tech. If like, dude, imagine if someone got to Arbiter and killed Arbiter with like crossbow shot or something like that. Like that's the only thing they used was crossbow shot. And
Didn't somebody just kill Arbiter with a naked character? Isn't that like a thing that happened recently?
but it would be hardcore, so you'd have to not die the whole time.
Oh, true, 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 true.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. You can like die a million times in the game, get to Arbiter, and still probably kill him punching him if you're like don't get hit for like 20, maybe an hour at that point if you're just punching him to death. But yeah, so I'll definitely keep you posted and see if you'd be interested, because it's fun. It's a good time.
For sure. You know, I'm there's a very good chance that I do a hardcore restart before the next PoE 1 league, just like PoE 2, just to like mess around a little bit, like HCSSF, try
Yes.
to learn it a little bit. It would give me something fun to do on stream. I'm not committing to when that is, but I think I actually want to do that because like I know what happens is like I'll think about like ideas a lot, and a lot of them are exciting in the moment, but like if it feels like exciting, like deep down, and then like the next time I think about it, like if I wake up tomorrow and I'm still excited thinking about it, like it's happening, you know?
I'll be
So
there. I'll be there. The boys will be there. As we sort of wrap up, do you have any other things, topics you want to talk about? Anything at all? I know we talked about a ton of shit, and I appreciate you spending this time chatting with me, man. It's been awesome. Like 2 hours have just absolutely flown by. So yeah, man, you're an awesome
yeah,
dude.
no, thanks. I think like same. I've had a blast being here. I guess I want to ask about like some music stuff real quick because you've been listening to a lot of city pop, and I know you listen to like a lot of hip hop. Um, what are some kind of like electronic and I don't know, maybe like punk, pop punk, like any of that kind of stuff? Like, do you like any of that kind of stuff? Because like you seem to have a pretty broad taste. I just, and the same thing happens on my stream, right? Like I listen to just about anything, but like you'll ultimately will wind up gravitating towards the same sorts of like mixes when you're streaming. At least that's been the case for me. Like I'll like default into like a lot of like lo-fi hip hop or like we do like like emo music stuff on Saturday. So yeah, I don't know, music stuff. I want to talk about music for a sec because music's the best.
Yes, dude. Okay, so I like a ton of stuff. I even do like I know we talked about country music a little bit in this conversation a while back, and I don't hate some country music too. For me though, I think as you said, like you default back to Euro like variants. I think that hip hop for me is something that I've always just enjoyed for like a long majority of my life, and yeah, I think that that's gonna be the one thing that I'd listen to for my whole life. Like, dude, it's crazy to think about. I was listening to an album that I still enjoy very much still to this day, like 20 years ago. And that's how much impact it's had on me. And yeah, in terms of like what was the question? What sort of
Oh
electronic
no,
music do I
I'm
like?
like, yeah, like so like I don't know, like I'm interested in like if you listen to much like electronic music, do you listen to like because I've been listening to a lot of either like electronic stuff lately, or I've been listening to a lot of like punk and punk adjacent things. So I've been listening to a lot of like Bad Religion and like some Rancid. I never really listened to Rancid before, and like been listening to a bunch of ska because ska is just a punk band invaded your high school band room,
Okay.
and then they had a party, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, well, I'm curious, it's like because like a lot of the like hip hop that you like lines up with the hip hop that I like, and the city pop thing especially stood out to me because like you don't see a lot of PoE streamers listening to city pop, but I have definitely bumped like multiple hour long city pop mixes on stream a number of times. So I'm just like curious. Now I'm curious, like what other stuff you listen to that's outside of maybe like your most like comfortable wheelhouse.
Oh, that's yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, so I'm looking through my Spotify right now and like the stuff that's up top is like so I have some major playlists that I'm like super into that I've been working on for a really long time. So aside from the hip hop playlist, it's basically like I call it like the oldies playlist, but that encompasses so many things. So it encompasses like funk and soul from the 70s, disco shit from the 80s, like, all of that stuff, like stuff that like actually was sampled. And this is kind of where it all relates back to hip hop for me was when I was listening to a lot of these artists from, back in the day, I thought that they like didn't they made all this shit from scratch. I didn't realize that like hip hop artists were like sampling shit, right? And so that actually showed me a lot of older music. And so I got really into like that type of stuff for a long time. I love lo-fi. I love like funk, like PHONK funk, like electronic. I don't know. I have like I would say I know the word gets tossed around a lot, like eclectic, I guess. Like it changes on the regular. Like I also default a lot to video game music. I think video game music has been like a really big passion of mine for a long time. I have a pretty like awesome playlist going right now on YouTube because the YouTube is where you can find all the best like video game OSTs and stuff. Um, and yeah, I've been
There's
going
also a
through
lot of really good video game cover music on YouTube, by the way. I wanted to
True.
get that one in there right there. A lot of really cool artists out there.
Dude, yeah, I just found like a jazz band. I can't remember what they're called that does a ton of video game covers.
There's J Music Band
Okay.
and there was another one I can't remember the name. There's like the Consoles.
The
That was the other one that I
consoles. I
saw.
think that was it.
Yeah,
There's also
yeah.
another one I found called like the One Ups or something like that. Anyway, like yeah, YouTube's incredible. Especially if you're into like video game music and finding covers of them. And yeah, dude, like my music taste is ever changing. Like even with city pop, I was into like vaporwave for a while. I think we talked about this on stream earlier. I was into vaporwave like I don't know 7, 8, 9 years ago, and I didn't realize that like that was all sampling like city pop basically. Like a lot of the vaporwave that I was listening to was all sampling city pop. And so yeah, I just went through like a city pop renaissance like the last week. I put together a playlist. I've been jamming to it on stream. The boys have been loving it. And yeah, man, what about you? What are your kind of off meta music tastes these days?
So I through my girlfriend have she's been really into Young Gravy and Baby No Money recently.
Okay.
And both of them are like it's just like goofy, well produced rap, and they both seem to be really good at marketing their shit. But
Right.
like it's one of the first like more popular music things I've heard that doesn't feel completely overproduced and like there's a side tangent. I'll talk to you about this some other time.
Yeah.
But like that's been kind of interesting for like more popular music, and I've been getting a lot back into like some of the music I liked when I was younger. Um, like a lot of like more punk music and like pop punk and like emo kind of stuff. Uh, Sort of adjacent to that stuff. I've been listening to this band Minus the Bear. If you've never listened to them, you should check them out. They're like it's like sort of like chill indie rock, but it was like a bunch of dudes who were really into prog rock made it. Like so it's like it's got like the chill indie sound, but it's very like technical instrumentally, and like their guitar player does the most insane pedal work I've ever seen. And then the guy's voice is like it's really good, but he's not like trying too hard to be like, oh, I'm like blowing you away with my technical prowess. His voice just sounds like smooth like a saxophone, and it just fits with the music really well. I've been really, like I said, really getting into old punk because I realized like it's just fun. I think like it's a very unique kind of music in that like you can take like really like deep and sometimes even dark subject matter and put it with punk, and it becomes much easier to like listen to because like the music is uplifting and like gets you energized and like ready to go out and fight somebody in the Waffle House parking lot, and like
Yeah.
but then you're like listening to these lyrics and being like introspective and like learning how you could maybe heal some shit that happened to you 20 years ago. I don't know.
Music is a very powerful art form, and it's had a profound effect on me. And it's kind of crazy that like certain songs can evoke like a time in your life where you were like super into a specific artist or whatever. Like, there are songs that make me think about breakups. There are songs that makes me think about like good times in my life. And yeah, I don't know where I'd be without music, man. Like, I'm just such a huge. It's such a weird thing when you talk to somebody like, yeah, I don't like music. Like, I've actually met people like that. And you're like, what do you mean you don't like music? Like what? And they're like, yeah, I just don't listen to music. And you're like, wait, so what do you what do you listen to? They're like, nothing. And you're like, oh wait, what? Like, how is that a thing? Have you ever met someone like that?
Honestly, I don't think I have. Like, I know that exists, but it's just like it sounds so alien because it's
Right?
like, I mean, I guess it's the same as like if you go into someone's house and they just have like all white walls, right? Because like music is like you're just like decorating time instead of space.
That's a good way of
So at
putting it.
least I didn't come up with that. I remember reading it once and just thinking like that makes a whole lot of sense. Like you're decorating like the time that you're spending. You know, if you're at a party, you're doing it that way, and like if you're whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I've actually met anybody who's just like I don't listen to music. I've met people who don't really engage with it beyond like very surface level. Like, people know like everybody probably knows somebody who only listens to like the same handful of pop artists. And again, we're not hating on you if you only listen to the same handful of pop artists, but people who like don't expand that pool because there's a lot of people I know who have like a really deep music taste, and then they do also like just like some bubblegum low substance pop music. That stuff's fun sometimes. Like I'm not knocking it. Like I enjoy it too. It's just like it's it's more interesting if you find out somebody has like that like broad palette. If you find out like they're just over here splashing around in the kiddie pool, you're like, oh, that's cute. Keep having fun. I don't mean to sound so condescending there. But
No,
like
no, it's fair. I think that like it's hard to not be judgmental when it comes to somebody who doesn't listen to music or like is very surface level just because like it's one of the deepest art form oceans that you can like sink your teeth into. Like, man, music has existed far beyond like any like visual like TV or movie media, right? Like music has been being made for thousands of years in some capacity or another. And so, yeah, it just blows my mind that like that doesn't resonate with some people. But then again, to each their own. And if they don't fuck with it, they don't fuck with it.
Yeah, and what I would also say, I was like thinking about this, like I think like man, we were getting so off topic. My bad. I'm gonna get it out. Like
Okay.
uh, like judging things is normal. Like it's only like when you judge that somebody is a bad person because of the thing that you're judging that I think it's a problem. Like, but human beings are like made and designed to judge things to be able to discern what is like good and bad, and you're going to like and not like some things. It's the same thing we talked about earlier, honestly. So I guess it is on topic. Yes, we circled back around.
Full
But like
circle. We love it.
yeah, like some things are started for you. Like that's fine.
Absolutely. Okay, so as a final question, if you could see like any artist, dead or alive, let's say they're coming to a concert near you, who would it be?
When you add the dead thing, like I have to see Freddie Mercury perform live once.
Hmm.
Um I'm not like a massive Queen fan. I do like them a lot, but it's not like I like know all of their discography or anything like that. But like just that guy seemed like completely fucking built different as like a performer and just
Right.
like the way that he commanded attention on stage. So it'd probably be like him or like I don't know, seeing like Jimi Hendrix play or something like that. Because again, like everybody like I don't think he's like quite as good of an actual guitar player as like he gets talked up to be, but he was good enough and he damn sure had stage presence for days, like when you see videos of him playing. So like actually being in the like, because you know how that is, like being in the room when the performance happens, it's just totally different. Like you can get 70-80% of the effect by watching it, but like that last 20-30% is everything.
Absolutely. No, the live music experience is, I wouldn't say it's completely different, but it adds so much more to just like the appreciation of the art form of music. And so, yeah, no, I think those are great answers. I asked that question and then I started thinking about my answer and I was like, I need to sit on this. So I will message you when I've discussed when I figured out who exactly it would be because I realized after I'm like, that was such a hard question. And you just like at the snap of your fingers were like, boom, like Freddie Mercury, Jimi Hendrix. So for me, I got to think about it. There's a lot of great musicians out
If you hadn't added on the like alive or dead thing, the question would have been harder for me.
there.
But because of the fact that you've given me the opportunity to like
Yeah.
do something that I can't do, it's very easy to answer. I'm curious what your answers are. I'm excited to find out.
I'll let you know. All right, man. Well, we did the damn thing. 2 almost and a half hours. At this point in time, just shout yourself out, man. Where can we find you, and what will you be working on?
I'm Scrimps. I'm over on YouTube making content. I don't make a ton of content, but I put a ton of effort into the content that I do make. So if you check it out and you like it, that'd be sick for you to hang out. And I'm on stream. I'm gonna try to be better with having a schedule, but I'm not gonna like say what that is right now because it's easy to talk about things and it's hard to do them. So I'd rather just show than tell. But I am live fairly frequently. Usually it's more of like an afternoon evening thing, and because I feel like pretty hype about trying to start hardcore. If you guys are into watching somebody flounder around for their first HCSSF experience in PoE2, stop on by.
Dude, I'll be in there. I'll make sure to let all the homies know about that. Thank you so much, Scrims. It's been an absolute pleasure. Um, yeah, if you guys are watching on YouTube, I appreciate that. If you guys are watching on the Twitch live, I appreciate that as well. And we will see you guys in the next one. Peace. All right, everybody, that wraps it up for this episode of the Passive Tree Podcast. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe for more PoE2 content. I have a bunch more episodes of the podcast lined up with some really great guests, so keep your eyes peeled for that. If you're interested in supporting the podcast and the channel, consider supporting through Patreon. There's a link in the video description. A special shout out to Kevin F. for supporting this channel. I appreciate you. Thank you. And until next time, happy blasting, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.